to the hollow.
Okay, a lot to get to today. The Edmonton Elks are on the verge of naming a new club president. In fact, I expect that we will have confirmation of that name for you at some point during this show. And, of course, the Edmonton Oilers getting ready for their game in Nashville tomorrow without Connor McDavid. The Oilers did announce earlier today it's an ankle injury. He will miss 2 to 3 weeks, so probably about 7 to 11 games. We'll break that down as we move along as well. Noah Philp, the U of A, former U of A Golden Bear, expected to make his NHL debut tomorrow against the Nashville Predators. We will start with this developing story with the Edmonton Elks. I mean, we know that they need a new team president. Rick LeLacheur, who has the interim role, said on Monday at the team's year-end availability that they're very close, that they could very well, he expected to have somebody before the Grey Cup. My colleague Jason Milne posted on X earlier today that he expected there to be a news conference tomorrow announcing the new team president. I added to that by saying that it would not surprise me if it is a former player. I know the name that immediately came up for that was the former kicker for the team, Sean Fleming. I think there's another name we need to consider here and need to remember as a candidate, and perhaps the candidate that we're going to be talking about here as getting the job, and that is Chris Morris, who is currently the head coach of the University of Alberta Golden Bears. Perhaps no longer in that position, but I think things will become clear perhaps in the next hour or two. Chris Morris was on this show yesterday to reflect on what was a tough season for the Golden Bears football team. The expectations were very, very high. They won their first game. They ran into some numerous injury problems along the way. They lost some games in which they had leads. So we went over all of that. And then as the last question of the interview, Jay asked Chris about the future, what comes next for, the team he used to play for, the Edmonton Elks. Here's what Chris said.
Jason, they just need stability. They need a clear identity as to how they're going to work with people, a clear identity as to how they're going to treat everybody in their organization, a clear identity as to how they're going to attract players here, not for 1 year, but for a 5, 6, 8, 10-year career, right? If they can clear that up and they can get back to, working with some integrity and working with the things that, that have always kind of been the cornerstone of that place, everything will turn. So I think, the president, starting with leadership there's lots of things that can happen by that position. And I think that's a very important one for them.
Okay, so that was Chris Morris. So, Jay, before, and thanks for being patient while I got through the headlines there. When you indicated to me yesterday, I'm going to ask Chris a question about the Elks. I said, cool, just be prepared that he may give a non-answer because even though he played for the team, he's not currently with the organization and therefore may not feel it's appropriate to weigh in. When he gave that answer yesterday, I think that got us both a little interested that something might be up. And again, we believe there's a pretty good chance Chris is going to be the next president of the Elks, and we think we're going to find out for sure during the course of this show.
Yeah, there were a couple signs during that interview that would suggest something else was on his mind. That question that he answered alone was extremely relevant and extremely passionate. This was not, in my opinion, which I believe you share, this was not somebody that was focused as much on the Bears organization as he was on the Elks, which was surprising. Both you and I left that interview scratching our heads. So to be determined, we're knocking on every door. But I would say that it was an interesting interview because I even said to Chris, I said, look, I know you, I know how you operate. You're on to next season. Mm-hmm. And there was a reflection about this season and the injuries that they had to deal with. That was an interesting interview to say the least.
So again, this is something we think we're going to have more on during the course of this program. So keep it here on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne on Edmonton Sports Talk. Of course, you are welcome to participate in the show. You can text the EST inbox 780-218-9999. You can jump into the nasty chat on YouTube and not just participate with us, but with each other, which is usually more of what happens there. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. We're always trying to get to 100 every show. We're on a pretty good streak of doing that. You can also follow Jay on Twitter at Jason Milne, JASONMILNE. Follow me at Reid Wilkins, ReidWilkins, and follow this station at YEG Sports Talk. So please give us follows there as well. For people asking about the poker, we will get into that later. I started the show with a bit of a diatribe about that yesterday. Both Jay and I had fun in different ways doing the poker yesterday, but because of the breaking news for the Elks and also a pretty big story with the Oilers without McDavid, we are going to stick with that for a while. Jed Roberts, speaking of Double E alum and a teammate of both Chris Morris and Sean Fleming for that matter, is scheduled to join us live in studio starting at 3:40 today. So he'll talk about the Elks president situation and probably tell a lot of stories as well. If it turns out to be Chris, I guess we'll see. We'll start getting fan reaction throughout the show, especially if it's confirmed while we're on, and we expect one way or another we're going to get confirmation. I mean, he's been at the U of A since December 2012. We'll talk a little bit about your relationship with him as an alum of the Golden Bears.
Yeah, I mean, we worked in lockstep. I mean, when I became the president of the Golden Bears Football Alumni Association the year he got the head coaching job. Tireless worker, fixed a program that was broken, took it to levels that had never been experienced before. In terms of, obviously, I guess not Vanier Cup levels, but in that realm, there's more to that role than just wins and losses. Put a great deal of men into the CFL, raised a lot of money, put a lot of men through university, and now contributing to society here in Edmonton and into the workforce. He just changed the culture there. That's Chris Morris in a nutshell. He's the culture guy. Mm-hmm. He will take something that is beaten up, ragged, and disheveled, and turn it into polish it until it turns into something nice and shiny, which is what he's done there. So, and that's another question: is if this is something that comes to fruition here, and you see Chris Morris as the next president of the Elks, well, that leaves a massive void over at Footfield and South Campus for the Golden Bears football team.
Right.
Now, this is, obviously we're speculating here, but it would be surprising. I'd say shocked would be the word that would describe it best for most.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Fleming's name was out there a lot. I think that Sean was considered once again this time around. It's going to be, it's a big job for Chris, but based on what he said yesterday, he talked about stability, right? And trying to get players for 5, 6, 8, 10 years. That's a long football career if you play 10, but certainly 5 would be great. And I said this yesterday. Well, okay, the one thing I always say, and for those of you who have listened to me before and are going to keep listening to me, you'll get sick of me saying it, but I believe it. In pro sports, sometimes think about the coaches, GMs, and players as employees, right? Like any other business. You want to hire the best employees and have them reach a peak with you and keep them for as long as possible if they're good, which the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have done. Even this year, they're not as good. They're still hosting the West Final, everybody. They still only have to win one game to get to the Grey Cup. BC and Saskatchewan are going to have to win 2. Edmonton and Calgary won't even have the chance, right? So they're still pretty good. So get the right employees and keep them. Don't try to find somebody for a year or two as a burst and look, oddly enough, the second time around for Chris Jones went as pretty much as poorly as it could have. Like, I'm still shocked that it was that bad. But I said yesterday, McLeod Bethel Thompson was never going to be the future quarterback of this team. And okay, so he's here for a year to mentor Trey Ford. Did any of it help? Did any of it work? I don't know. And I know there's debates about how good Ford might be, but maybe maybe MBT wasn't the right guy to bring in to accompany Trey Ford, or that need to be handled differently. So that's just one example. I know we've beaten the quarterback situation to death over the last few months, but it has been a big story. But that's what Chris is saying. Try to find people, players, coaches, managers, scouts, whoever. Like if he's going to be the president, then he's going to worry about who's selling tickets and who's doing media relations and all that kind of stuff. Get good people, keep them, and build that culture around them, as opposed to, well, let's just try to get somebody for a year just so we improve a little bit, and then we'll worry about next year. Next year. So, now, if it's Chris, it's going to be a challenge to do that for sure. But I'm glad he's coming in with that mindset, because I'm not sure if that's been the mindset of past people in charge. It might have been more like, I just got to swim for a year, then I'll worry about swimming again next summer.
Well, I mean, I wasn't in the locker room when he was part of that those Grey Cup winning teams, but those were the times when people wanted to come to Edmonton and wanted to be a part of that organization. There was a sign above the locker room door leaving that said, "Once an Eskimo, always an Eskimo." That kind of mantra. Mm-hmm. And that's what he did at U of A. He would, because I was also involved with the Edmonton Wildcats, and he was a pain in our ass, because he would take kids and he would demand that you go to U of A for all 5 years.
Right.
Instead of going to junior and fine-tuning your craft for a couple of years, becoming a bit of more of a man, so to speak, and growing, he wanted you under his tutelage for all 5 years.
Right.
That's because he was dedicated to the process, and he wanted the athletes to have the same dedication.
And again, this is not confirmed. This is not for sure, but we will keep you posted. I mean, we are pretty sure the Elks are on the verge of naming a president. We knew there were only a few days left to do that before likely a CFL embargo to not announce anything within a week and a half of the Grey Cup. But Chris Morris's name, definitely one we are hearing as in the mix to be the Elks president, and I think we'll find out for sure likely within an hour or so. So that's one story today. We'll dive further into the Oilers stuff as we move along as well. Like I said, Jed Roberts is going to be in studio with us. And I can also tell you portions of this hour presented by the Canadian Brew House. The NHL lives at the Canadian Brew House. Every Oilers game day, get $1 off tankards of Molson Canadian Coors Light. You can win game ticks and 2 tickets to a surf and turf dinner at the end of the season. Full details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. All right, it is also Halloween tomorrow. And so along those lines, for about the last 5 or 6 shows, we've been doing kind of something spooky, Halloween-related. We did some X-Files episodes yesterday. Did we do anything on candy yet? I don't know if we did or not. But we've done.
That'll have to be tomorrow's conversation.
Well, depending on what else is going on tomorrow. We only got 2 hours tomorrow because the
That's true.
pregame show is at 5. Maybe we're going to be on location somewhere. We'll see. But I thought, okay, I'm going to go dark today with the topic. But first of all, here's the jumping off point for this. Could you play the thing from the World Series, Zach? Last night, was it Mookie Betts going to catch it?
Yes.
So it's going to be, you're going to see, you may have already seen this. If you're not watching on YouTube, it's the foul ball down the right field line. Betts catches it. And these 2 Yankee fans are like trying to rip the ball out of his glove, and he reaches up with his throwing hand, and another guy's grabbing his right wrist, and like it's just crazy. Like it's clearly inappropriate fan behavior.
Yeah, and if you didn't know the name Austin Capo Bianco,
you're giving him his name out there. Okay.
Oh, it's out there.
Yeah,
it's out there. He is. It's funny. He's either enemy number 1 or everybody's biggest fan.
Yeah. So and then a buddy texted me and said, "Oh, you should do a thing on like if you were field side at the Grey Cup, would you knock down a pass so the Elks would win, even though you'd be banned from the CFL?" And I thought, well, that's fun, but that's so unrealistic that you'd be close enough to. I mean, and then the foul ball thing has happened. So I thought, okay, what's a movie and a character we've had fun with on this show? Kathy Bates' character in Misery.
Sure.
Annie, was that the character? I can't remember. So I thought and this is dark, everybody. What if you could make sure an opposing player misses a big game against your team? So the star player on Montreal would miss a Grey Cup against the Elks. A star player on the Panthers would have missed Game 7 against the Oilers. So you don't go out and do something necessarily, but this player somehow falls into your lap. You know, has a car crash in front of your house, needs to use the bathroom at your business, and you realize, I can make it so this guy doesn't leave. But you know you might get caught. You know you're committing a crime, and you might be, you know, unlawful confinement, kidnapping, whatever.
Yeah.
But you can make sure, oh, you know what? Matthew Tkachuk has had to stop at my place of business to pee 3 hours before Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. I can just make sure that bathroom door kind of gets locked. Something like that.
So is the question, would you do it?
Yeah.
Or how would you do it?
Would you do it? Yeah, well, could you bring
Tell us
yourself
the
to do
story.
it? Yeah, could you give us a scenario? But let's exclude the torture like that she did to James Conn, breaking the ankle.
Yeah, we don't need any ankles
Just would
broken.
you prevent them somehow from getting to the game?
How hardcore of a fan are you really? That's the question.
Yeah, and you're not going out and kidnapping them, but again, there's a situation where they got to come into your house, into your business, or you can somehow delay them or prevent them from getting to the game. How far would you go? Would you do it? Knowing that you're probably committing a crime you could get caught for.
Okay, would you?
Yes.
For what team?
Okay, here's my caveat.
Yes.
It would depend which player I was confining and how they came into my possession.
Sure.
Like, could I be like somehow, all right, I know this is bad, but if I could get arrested, I could maybe like legitimately say, oh, I wasn't sure they were locked in the bathroom.
There's an alibi.
Or I thought they'd left.
Yeah.
I might somehow have a bit of an out. I'm making myself sound like a real scuzzball here.
Well, for your team. I mean, let's say, okay, let's say my Commanders make it to the Super Bowl, and they're playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes, his car breaks down in front of my house. And I have the opportunity to somehow keep him locked in the basement.
Right.
Am I doing it? I don't know that I am. I really don't. Even because that would be a huge.
But what if he went into the basement himself, and then you realize all I got to do is turn the knob?
Golly.
This is the off-topic topic for William Huff. Since 1952, William Huff has provided industry-leading graphics with design, print, and install all in-house for thousands of valued clients. Their unparalleled customer service combined with decades of industry expertise and a desire to make every job the very best can be is what they call the William Huff Advantage. Visit their website at williamhuff.com or give them a shout, 780-454-4536. Participate in our very dark and bizarre off-topic topic, 780-218-9999 in the nasty chat. Email Reid at edmontonsportstalk.com. All right, we're back with more on the Elks president situation and what the Oilers were doing at practice today in Nashville without Connor McDavid. But first, Zach Kubish with the sports update for Paramount Flooring.
Connor McDavid will be out 2 to 3 weeks due to an ankle injury, with the Oilers hitting ice without their captain tomorrow night. On a 6-game schedule, it's the Golden Knights battling the Kings, the Avs meeting the Lightning, while the Islanders take on the Blue Jackets. And the Calgary Stampeders have announced some coaching changes, including the release of Brett Monson, Jawan Simpson, and Mark Killam. And as per Adam Scheffner, the Carolina Panthers will have Bryce Young as the starter this week, keeping Andy Dalton to the bench. Over in the NBA, Scotty Barnes is set to miss at least 11 games for the Raptors due to a fractured orbital bone. He suffered the injury after absorbing an elbow Monday night and is expected to be back in mid-November. The Raptors are in action tonight when they tip off against the Hornets with 11 total games on tap in the NBA. And it's the Yankees trying to fight their way back in the series, down 3-1 in the World Series against the Dodgers, with the Dodgers having the chance to win it all tonight. This sports update has been brought to you by Paramount Flooring, proudly family-owned and operated for 33 years. Paramount Flooring is your full-service flooring and tile supplier. Whether you're a homeowner, renovator, or builder, Paramount Flooring provides the flooring to fit your lifestyle and budget. Visit their showroom that's open 7 days a week at 10707 184th Street. Paramount Flooring. Flooring for the life that you live. Right after the break, the Reid Wilkins Show continues. I'm Zachary Kubish, keeping you up to date.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Flyaway to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Flyaway keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for two, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store, or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of The Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Okay, so you're feeding me cheesies that you were keeping in the freezer.
Yeah, if you haven't had Hawkins cheesies and put them in the freezer, you haven't lived yet. That's how they are best enjoyed, I would say.
I don't know, like they're less.
You're not. This should be buying or selling for Damon Bunting Real Estate.
They're okay.
I'm buying that Hawkins cheesies are much better in the freezer. In fact, I don't mind any of my salty snacks frozen. Frozen?
Frozen.
Goof up. Jay said frozen.
I don't know. I mean, they're less powdery, so your fingers don't get quite as dirty. I don't know. To me, the crunchiness is about the same.
See, I think they compress better.
Okay.
And it's allowed to
I've
get
never tried that before.
more of a full bite.
Jed Roberts will be joining us in 15 to 20 minutes in studio. We're keeping an eye on the situation with the president of the Edmonton Elks. We expect there to be a news conference tomorrow, and we are keeping an eye on U of A Golden Bears head coach Chris Morris, who we believe is likely going to leave the U of A to be the next president, but we'll see what we get here throughout the course of the show. The off-topic topic is, would you confine a member of the opposing team before the Grey Cup or Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final? People saying with Matthew Tkachuk it would be a no-brainer. I think people would just like to confine him regardless.
So this comes in from Anonymous.
Of course.
Of course. I love the commitment to the bit. I work for a company that caters visiting NHL's food for their plane ride out. I would spike it and give them a slight stomach discomfort if it were the Stanley Cup. Heard it's what happened to Jordan against Utah Jazz in the flu game.
Oh, wow.
Now that's deep.
That's pretty good. All right. Well, if anybody's willing to respond to that, we'll read their profiles. No, we're not trying to entrap people, okay? We're not cops.
A lot of discussion about frozen
That's exactly
salty
what a
snacks.
cop would say.
Yeah, that's not true, hey? Like, the belief is if you say to the cop, are you a cop? And you think that they have to tell you, they have to disclose that?
No, they don't.
That's not true.
Especially if they're undercover. That's the whole point.
That's the bit.
Yes, that's
kind of the name of the game.
That's exactly the point of having undercover police officers. All right. Sorry, did you have something else?
There's lots of discussion here. Some would say heated about this frozen salty snack discussion.
Also a good off-topic topic. We have two today.
Frozen Hawkins are next level. That comes in from Big Uke. Doritos also good in the freezer from Hambone. And Penner's Pancakes says Matthew's called the cops. Our Matthew. The coup.
Oh, the coup called the cops. No, he wouldn't do that. Coob, in a second here, we're going to do the first Knobloch clip and the first Philp clip here as we get through the oil understood for GCL Diesel. Providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They're the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years, and now a proud partner of Edmonton Sports Talk and the Reid Wilkins Show. GCL Diesel. Diesel. Understood. Okay, so first of all, I will read straight from a statement the Oilers put out this morning. Edmonton Oilers forward Connor McDavid suffered an ankle injury in Monday's game in Columbus. After further evaluation in Edmonton yesterday, he's expected to return to action in 2 to 3 weeks. So, let's look at the Oilers' upcoming schedule, Jay. They play Nashville tomorrow. They play Calgary Sunday. They host New Jersey and Vegas next Monday and Wednesday. On November 9th, they are at Vancouver. And then on the 12th, they are home to the Islanders. And then it's 2 weeks. So that would be 6 games. They play Nashville yet again on Thursday the 14th. That would be 7 games. If it goes 3 weeks, then he's probably missing, 11 games? So you'd hope the team could be at least 500, and then they're still around 500 when they get him back, and then they got to start banking more points to get into the playoffs. Or not to get into the playoffs, but to start being more in the playoff race.
So how many games did you say they miss?
So he should miss, at the very least, Nashville, Calgary, Jersey, Vegas, Vancouver, Islanders. That's 6.
Yeah.
And then he could miss 4 or 5 more if it goes to 3 weeks.
Right.
So I'd say, I'd say 6 to 12 games, I suppose. I mean, that's if I extend it to the 21st, which is a day beyond 3 weeks.
He ain't missing the game against the Leafs in Toronto.
Well, what if he's not healthy?
He's not missing that game.
Okay.
Honestly, that's a home game for him. That's a homecoming.
But I don't think they want to rush him back. I mean, he might have rushed back for the Heritage Classic last year. Maybe he should have missed a little more time last season.
By saying that he's out 2 to 3 weeks, this is a this is a tweak.
It's not a serious injury.
If unattended, would get severe or tear.
Right, but
or
he's taking a
what have
couple
you.
weeks off.
He's taking a little bit of time off to rest and make sure that whatever that
he might
ailment
even
is,
be skating with the team in a week or 8 or 9 days.
Yes,
but just not quite ready to play. So that it's not serious as we kind of thought, but it's not just like, he'll miss the Nashville game and join the team in Calgary. This is, like I said, at least 6 games. So by the timeline the Oilers have given, 2 weeks from today, that means he could return on November 14th against Nashville. And then, as you said, they play the Leafs on the 16th. So you think he comes back in Toronto?
or possibly even before, just to get his feet under him, so to speak. But do you remember his knee injury? That he was a savage when it came to recovery and physio.
The one that he got hurt at the last game of the season a few years ago.
Yeah. Like he came back much faster. So this is not somebody that's just going to do the old rest ice compression elevation trick. He's going to be working it and getting it better.
Right. Okay. So that's what we're looking at the McDavid timeline. My mom has texted me. She says, you can't do bad things to people, even Austin Matthews.
Oh.
I'm not talking about hurting people. I'm talking about delaying them or restricting their movement so they couldn't make Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final against the Oilers or the Grey Cup against the Elks.
Louise, you sly dog,
I
you.
am not saying.
That's exactly who you'd want this done to.
All right. There's someone who goes by the name Matthew Kachuk in the Nasty Chat, eh?
Yeah. He's a good listener.
It's not actually Matthew Kachuk.
I don't think so.
That'd be amazing if it was.
My mom texted me last night. She said, Pearl and Louise have a bake-off. Louise would win, I'm sure. Smiley face.
That's kind. I don't think my mom would want to do that. I think she would just sooner. Oh, I forgot the cookies again, by the way. I know.
Really?
So, well, when I leave in the morning, I'm like, okay, I have my lunch and I have my computer.
Just admit
I haven't eaten them. No,
them.
I haven't eaten them. I just eat the cookies that I bring every day. All right. Well, in my lunch, I get a cookie or two in my lunch.
Oh.
That's not the cookies.
Reid. You promise you haven't eaten them?
I have not eaten them. They're in my freezer. Speaking of frozen, I always eat them frozen.
Yeah, it's fine.
Frozen cookies is good. Speaking of frozen cheesies. All right, let's go to the line combinations from today. Nugent Hopkins between Jeff Skinner and Zach Hyman. Leon Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Henrique centers Janmark and Brown. Philp with Ryan and Perry. Ekholm with Bouchard. Nurse was with Dermott, and Kulak was with Emberson. Based on this, Caggiula and Stetcher would be the scratches tomorrow. Calvin Pickard is expected to start in net. So, yeah, we've talked about Noah Philp a lot. We expect him to make his NHL debut tomorrow. Chris Knobloch comments on Noah Philp and what he could bring to the lineup.
Here's a guy that's fairly big. Not that he's overpowering, but he is a bigger body, which is helpful for our team. A guy that covers a lot of space with his speed and his size, as I mentioned, but a guy that's pretty good puck mover. He can make subtle plays and move right up, but I think with our team we can add a little more speed and tenacity to our team, and hopefully he can bring some of that to it.
All right, and here's what Philp had to say about getting the call that he was getting called up.
Yeah, it was actually kind of a funny one. I had my phone turned off. My wife and I were making dinner, and I just kind of put it aside for a couple hours, and then eventually she got a call, and it was from Keith Gretzky with Bakersfield, and he said, "Tell Noah to answer his phone." So that was last night or 2 nights ago, and then I was heading out in the morning.
All right, so big moment for Noah Philp, and he's getting thrown into it because, this is a team coming off a terrible performance against Columbus, and they only have 9 points through their first 10 games. I know there's a lot of pessimism around the team. We'll see. I still think they can play better, and they can score more. I think if they can go 500 or, without McDavid, then they'd still be a game under 500 when he came back, with still 3/4 of the season to go, and then, you have to start putting points away. But I get the concern. I've said, as I've seen more of him, I don't know, and I hate to question Chris Knobloch because most of the stuff he's done has turned out. I don't get Podkolzin with Draisaitl and Arvidsson. I don't think his puck skills and his offensive instincts are at the level that needed to play with Draisaitl and Arvidsson. I know Arvidsson hasn't scored, but I think he will, and I think he's had some good opportunities. Nugent Hopkins, Skinner, and Hyman, I think, should be a good line. Janmark, Henrique, and Brown, it was a good third line in the playoffs. They got to start connecting a little bit. And then, maybe some concerns about sort of the dimension or the physicality of Ryan, Philp, and Perry. We'll see what Philp can do. He is a bigger guy out there. I know there's limited options now with a couple players they don't have from last year. I'd be more inclined to put Perry into the top 6 than leave Podkolzin there.
Yes. And let's be reminded that this shuffle of the lineup happened last week at about this time with the power play. And that led to absolutely nothing.
Right.
But it was there, in case of emergency break glass kind of thing. So, how much do you read into this? I don't know. What's tomorrow? Is it an optional morning skate?
Well, we'll see. They haven't announced that yet. Yeah.
So, how much you read into it is
well, I think these will be the lines tomorrow. To start the game, of course.
I don't understand the Podkolzin move.
He hasn't been close to scoring, and he's a bigger guy who doesn't seem to occupy the area around the net. Jeff Skinner's a smaller guy, and he's been more around the net than Podkolzin. Now, he's much more experienced and has scored a lot more goals in the NHL, but just for comparison's sake. And then Perry can occupy the space around the net and has better hands. I mean, I think Podkolzin's role is just to be a bit of a wrecking ball, be a bit of a pinball, go in there on the forecheck and bounce around and disrupt things. Because when Podkolzin gets the puck, that's the end of the play.
Yeah, so, but do you need a wrecking ball on your top line? You know, like you said, would a player like Perry be, I mean, he can do a little bit of both, but he's a veteran presence, right? Interesting decision. We'll see.
All right, 780-218-9999. Of course, you can enter the nasty chat and give us a thumbs up on YouTube as well as we once again pursue 100 thumbs up over the course of the show. We are in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown Personal Injury Law Firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Check him out online, jameshbrown.com. Book your private consultation today. We are keeping an eye on the Edmonton Elks and the situation with their team president. And Jed Roberts scheduled to join us in studio. Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Here's the Coob with the sports update.
Captain Connor McDavid has sustained an ankle injury and will miss 2 to 3 weeks. And McDavid twisted his ankle on Monday night against the Blue Jackets after falling into the boards. And the NHL schedule has 6 games with the Canucks playing the Devils, the Lightning battling the Avs, and the Jets in Detroit to face the Red Wings. Over in the CFL, the Stampeders have released Mark Killam, Jawan Simpson, and Brent Monson from their coaching staff. For the Raptors, they'll miss Scotty Barnes for at least 11 games after he fractured his face, his orbital bone to be exact, while taking an elbow Monday night. Toronto hits the court today with the Hornets with 10 games total around the NBA. And in the World Series, it could end today with the Dodgers up 3-1 over the Yankees, with the Yankees finding their first win in the matchup yesterday. Just after the break, Doubly alumni Jed Roberts joins Reid and Jay in studio. I'm Zachary Kubish, keeping you up to date.
The grand opening sale at Sit and Sleep is almost over. This is your last chance to take advantage of the special introductory sale prices on all mattresses. Stop in today for a free pressure point scan using cutting-edge technology so sleepologists can identify the perfect mattress for you. Right now, get free local delivery on any mattress over $7.99 and receive a free bamboo cooling mattress protector. Enjoy grand opening savings with every mattress on sale. Join us on location today for the final celebrations at Sit and Sleep in South Common next to Planet Fitness. Don't miss out the grand opening sale ends soon.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
A&W has a deal for you. What's better than one A&W Mama Burger made with a perfectly seasoned grass-fed beef patty topped with pickles, a slice of onion, ketchup, mustard, and teen sauce served on a toasted sesame seed bun? 2 Mama Burgers for only $9.99. You can enjoy 2 of these delicious, mouth-watering Mama Burgers for only $9.99 at participating A&W restaurants in Edmonton, St. Albert, Sherwood Park, and Devon. What a deal! And to make it even more convenient for you, most A&W drive-thrus are open 24 hours.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website, edmontonsportstalk.com.
All right, hope you're having a great afternoon. I certainly am. in large part because this gentleman is in studio today for an extended chat. Double E alum, all-around good guy. Jed Roberts is here. Hey, Jed.
Hey, it's good to be here. No technical difficulties today.
No, you're right here, even getting some studio applause.
Yeah, as long as I keep my lips really close to the mic.
Yes, well, you're good at that. You've done this. You've done this before. How's your week going, man? What are we up to today? What's a day like for you?
Well, actually, the week has been kind of interesting because yesterday I was at a funeral for a friend of mine. He was an Olympic boxer for Canada. His name was Brent Kozlowski, fought light heavyweight. He didn't, unfortunately, medal in the Olympics in Seoul in '88, but he did end up becoming a pro fighter, and he had a pretty good career going until he kind of, fell into some misfortune and ended up incarcerated. But, at the time when he got in trouble, he had a fight lined up with Virgil Hill, and if you look at his box rec, like he only had one loss against, I think, 16 wins. So,
right.
Interesting character, larger than life, a guy that he was the light in any room he was in, right? So, and his younger brother and I are really close, and we've been friends for 35 years. His brother Dwight, who's now a retired policeman from Regina. He played at the University of Alberta, so that's kind of how I met him. And everybody called him Coco Kozlowski. I mean, he was just one of those guys, those personalities that you just never forget. So Trent and I were down there for the funeral, and then today I went to work, and then I came here. So it's been kind of an up and down week.
I saw Trent post about that as well. In this time slot yesterday, we had Alexis Kubicki in studio, the Edmonton boxer who's has 2 world championship belts in flyweight, and she's on the way up in her career. And the one thing about you and I have talked about this before, like pro athletes, you got to have an alpha personality, be super confident in yourself, be able to brush off your mistakes. But like boxers are even next level within the world of pro athletes.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I shared some memories when we were eulogizing him yesterday. They opened up the microphone, so I got up and told a couple stories about Coco, and you're exactly right. Like a pro fighter has probably on the top of the food chain because nobody plays boxing. It's you're in there alone and there's nowhere to hide, right? And if you're really good at it, everybody's aware of it. But if you really suck at it, everybody's aware of that too. So, Coco was a guy that when Cannon came to the fight game late, he was 17 years old when he started boxing, which is unheard of for a guy to go as high as he did. He was a Commonwealth champion. He beat Michael Gale and he beat him in England, no less. But just a guy that was he had his troubles and struggles but just one of those people you just never forget, And I find that most pro fighters, like I was messaging Scotty Bulldog Olsen the other day to let him know because they were teammates on the Olympic team, and he was really up, kind of like surprised, and he was like, what happened? And I kind of let him know, and those guys are close. There's a closeness among fighters that I think that even trumps football, because those guys, like, they're literally going to war with each other, and then they go out and they do things together. And there's a closeness among them that's pretty tough to duplicate it and replicate in other sports.
Yeah.
Well, I believe congrats are in order here for you, Jed, because you've been named to a couple rather impressive teams in this city. One of recent note was the all-time Double E team. You were representing the special teams side of that. I know how passionate you are about the organization. I know how much you love, and you loved the time playing with that organization. What does it mean to have this honor bestowed on you, Jed Roberts?
Well, surprised, actually. The first thing I had to say was that I was really surprised because when they announced earlier in the year they were going to do the decade teams, I kind of thought that, there's nobody else in the 90s that really had as many tackles as I did. So if you're going to go by that metric, well, I guess I've got the 90s wrapped up. But my son was like, they're going to name you the all-time. And I'm like, I don't think so. Because, and he goes, well, why do you think that? And I said, well, there's some guys that came through here that were really good, like Mike Miller, who's the all-time special teams tackler, and Mike Maurer, Talon Maurer, she did really well when she was here. And there's been a lot of great special teams players in this franchise, So it was by no means something that I thought, well, I've got this in the bag, because that wasn't the case. And they also, I should probably note this, that they didn't keep track of tackles until 1990, which is convenient because that's the year I came in the league.
Started.
Right? So, but having said that, it's a huge honor, and I'm just so touched and surprised that they thought to put me on there.
We were going to get you to talk more about yourself, but we do have a bit of breaking news here now. It is confirmed that Chris Morris is the next president of the Edmonton Elks. So Chris, obviously, the last, dozen years with the U of A Golden Bears as the head coach, a former player in green and gold like Jed. Chris, a three-time Grey Cup champion, right? 93, 03, and 05, he was still there. And, basically has lived in Edmonton ever since he was drafted by the Esks and played for the team. So Chris Morris is indeed the president of the Edmonton Elks. I think there will be a formal announcement tomorrow. Will be the actual news conference, but that is the news that we have, and something Jay and I alluded to off the top of the show and sort of referred to in a bit of a roundabout way on Twitter, that would probably be a former player. Okay, well, it's perfect time to have you here, Jed. I know this is kind of thrown on you as well, but a lot of people are reacting to it this moment. So this is a guy you played with. And I mean, look, on this show and on my previous show, we talked a lot about the board and who's in charge and presidents and stuff like this. What do you think that it's Chris?
I'm surprised that it's Chris. I've got to be honest with you. I kind of thought that they might lean towards Sean Fleming. But I mean, when I think about it, it's like it checks off all the boxes. Chris was an incredible principal when he was running the schools that he ran. A great administrator, understands how to handle people, and there's no question that he's got the football pedigree. And I think that it's a great fit. I know who he is as a person, and I know the integrity that the man has, and there's no question also that he understands the Edmonton Football Club culture better than anyone, really. The guy's on the wall, and he was always a real good guy in the room, and he was universally respected. Now that's the thing about Chris, is Chris was a big guy, and he was not afraid to step into people if he needed to, and that's one thing that I really like about the pick, is that Chris is a guy that if something needs to be done, it's a hard thing that needs to be done, he has no problem doing those things, because he is who he is. It's great. I love the choice. So when you announce it, I gave the old fist pump, because it's a step in the right direction. So let's see what they do with the rest of it, like with the GM and the coach. That'll be an interesting couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, I'm wondering now if this means that Jackson and G-Roy are not back, if this nails that down.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go on record as saying I thought that G-Roy did a fine job. I think that he's a great guy, and I think that, if they kept him, I wouldn't be, I think that,
I agree. Yeah.
If you look at the nominations that came out for the Western All-Star, they've got how many guys on there? Seven?
Seven.
Yeah. I mean, when's the last time that happened around here? So obviously that he's been putting some talent in there. It's just a matter of getting everything and putting it all together, right? So, I mean, but that's not my call, right? So the new president will have to figure out what they want to do, and it's kind of his call now. So
a few things here, Jed, and some of these questions I wanted to ask you anyway, even if the Chris Morris news we didn't confirm here during the show. So Chris Morris is the new president of the Edmonton Elks. We expect there to be a news conference tomorrow, but we do have it for you here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Do the players care about who the team president is? Like, how far up the non-playing staff? Obviously, they care who their coaches is. They may or may not deal with the GM, I guess, depending on the GM's personality and how their agents represent them.
That's an interesting question, and I think that if you ask me now at the age that I'm at, I say, yeah, they do. But if you would have asked me as a player, I would have been like, I don't care.
That's what I'm getting at, yeah.
And I didn't know what I didn't know then, right? So I think that if a guy's paying attention, I'll tell you this. I'd probably agents care.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
That has a big impact on what the culture is at the club, and that's something that they've really needed to address here for a number of years. And now that they've got the ownership question addressed and stabilized, and I guess things will start to trickle down, and that's the hope anyway. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and I think that people, when they come here, they want to know they're coming to an organization that's settled and they've got everything in place to kind of keep things running smoothly. And so that's why I say the next 2 weeks will be real interesting to see what they do and decide to, who's going to stay, who's leaving. And, the rumors are flying right now. You know, there's rumors that say they're just going to clean house and get everybody out of there, which I don't know if that's the best thing to do. I think it's always good to keep some guys on and have a little bit of continuity. Not everything was death and taxes. There were some good things that happened. Obviously, there's 7 All-Stars in Western All-Star team, so that's a real big improvement on like the last couple of years anyway. So, I don't think that far off. I think that.
Well, you said the word culture, and to me that is hitting it the nail on the head with hiring Chris Morris as the next president of this organization. I was saying to Reid, Chris was just on our show yesterday, so we were breaking down the interview that we had with him, and it was quite suggestive when you replay it and listen back to it.
Yeah,
but that is what he figured was the issue with this organization. Was that there was no stability, there was no continuity.
Yep.
And earlier in the show, when you were on your way down here, I said to Reid, when guys like you played and guys like Chris played, this was the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
This was where CFL players wanted to go because it meant something to be a part of this organization. Having a guy like Chris at the helm, to me, at least, as an observer and looking at it, offers that stability right now.
Yeah, it's like the big shiny black Cadillac, and that's what the Edmonton football franchise was, for so many years. And the older generation of players would be like, they'd throw us the keys and say, hey, man, don't put any dents in it. You know what I mean? Because we're going to come back and we're going to check on it. And if you put too many miles on it, you're going to hear about it from us, right? And so we're like, oh, no, we're good. Like, and that's exactly what it was, right? There was always, there wasn't a mass turnover of players back when I played. And, you had guys that played for 10, 11, 12 years that paid off their mortgages while they were playing. You know? And it was usually the old linemen that were doing that, because they wanted to keep the same
Chris
guys.
Morrises of the world, yes.
Yeah, so the Chris Morrises, the Blake Dermotts, the Rod Knops, and those guys were the meat and bones of the franchise, and they were the ones who kept the culture going. And then after that, sort of when Chris left, and then things kind of started to sort of tail. You started to get like guys around for 4 years, and then now you get guys. You're lucky if you get a guy for 2.
Yes. Which is league-wide to some extent, which I do want to talk about.
But the good franchises like Winnipeg,
yes,
or even Saskatchewan, I don't really like to say that, but they find a way to keep those guys around, and a lot of that. And Calgary for many years was probably the best in the league doing that. They tailed off in the last little while, but you always had the same guys there, and they made their lives, and they set up a base, and they grew up, they raised families here, and then that's kind of what my generation did. You came here, you stayed here year-round, even if you were from the States, which I was, and you just found things to love about Edmonton, and I'll never leave Edmonton. I love Edmonton.
Did you stay here year-round right from your rookie season?
I went back and forth between here and Colorado my first couple of years, and then I just got tired of doing that.
And then you just want to live somewhere, right?
I just wanted to live somewhere. I got tired of moving all the time. I didn't like living with my in-laws either, so.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the stability thing is, and look, it's, of course, every organization wants that. I'm sure, skeptical listeners might be saying, well, yeah, Reid, of course they want stability, but you got to do it. And I do think we'll see what the reaction is like for Chris. I think it'll be positive. I know, and I'm not trying to disparage or comment on how these people did either way, because they all tried. But there was a certain, who's Len Rhodes? There was certainly a who's Chris Presson, because he was from the States. And to be fair, Chris's tenure, I don't think he got to do the job he wanted to do because of COVID. I think that threw a wrench in a lot of things, for a lot of people, but especially for him. Victor wasn't here very long. He was sort of known and sort of local, but that didn't work out. Like, this is a name people know. Now, doesn't mean because you played, you'll do a good job off the field, but I do think there's some immediate cachet with Chris. Not just that he played for the Elks, but that he busted his butt with the Golden Bears as well.
Yeah, and I think that for people who aren't aware, Chris took over a program in the U of A that kind of had fallen on hard times. And, the U of A is a very difficult team to get kids to play for because it's such a tough school to get into, you know. And I remember I coached there for a couple of years, and
you coached me.
Yeah, and the last time we were really good, you know, we had kids in there, and it's a beautiful school. It's a great academic institution, but it's really difficult to compete with schools that have lower academic standards,
Right.
and to get the same kids. And so you have to really recruit a certain type of kid, you know. And when I was there, you know, Freeze did such a great job of doing that, and then that kind of fell off after he left, and Chris inherited a bit of a rundown kind of, you know,
Dumpster
a jalopy. Yeah, it was a tire fire. So let's be honest. And he really beat the pavement there with his feet, and you know, kind of got in the bushes and shook them really hard, and you know, he brought out. I don't know how he did it, but he was getting these guys and making them into NFL linemen, you know, and now he's known for that, like bringing kids in, and he'll just grab guys and just be like. He'll teach them fundamentals and drill them until it's just about, you know, they're about ready to quit, and they get really good at their footwork, and then bang, they're just elite O-linemen. And the other thing he did was he fundraised. He got into he did a lot of engagement with the business community, and he posted the alumni, and he raised a lot of money, you know, and that's hard. And that's going to be what he'll have to do with the Edmonton Football Club is engage with the business community and you know, really kind of scare up and drum up ticket sales. And I think it's going to be a lot easier for him now, because in the past with the board, there was a lot of different people with a lot of different opinions and too many cooks in the kitchen, you know, and it was very difficult to get anything done. And then, you know, I felt like the board was trying to outthink themselves and go, oh, let's try this guy that nobody's ever heard of, you know, and it got really, really crazy, and too many mistakes were made, and then it's kind of became a snowball effect. And now, wipe the slate clean, bring a guy in. You look at Winnipeg, you got Wade Miller.
Yeah.
You know, you look in Calgary, you got McNeil. You know, you got, you know, Hobson was in Saskatchewan, former player. You know, those guys. I'm not saying you have to be a former player, but it helps if you're in the community and you've been around the business and you understand, like, what that municipal, because every town in Canada, city for that matter, they're different, right? You know, like, you can't compare Edmonton to Vancouver. It's a totally different, you know, might as well be in a different country, right? And it's the same thing. You said you're comparing this to Regina. Like, you can't do the same thing here that you would do in Regina. So it's good to have a guy that's been in the community for a long time. You know, they kept bringing guys in from other areas, and it just wasn't really working, because I don't think they ever really solved the riddle that is Edmonton and trying to figure out how to engage the community. Win games. Start with that.
Well, that's
you know what I mean?
That's the priority number one for me.
So, and the way you do that is by having some consistency and stability and bringing the same guys in and keeping them around.
Okay, we want to get more of your thoughts on Chris, because you know him pretty well. We're on either side of you, so you can't get out.
We are, in
There's
fact,
no way Jed's moving me.
Inflicting the off-topic topic on you.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to get your perspective on the team as well, because it was more wins than last year, but still not very many, and a couple over, you know, a couple teams that weren't that interested at the end of the season too.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about that. We got to do a quick timeout here, though. We'll have the Cube with the sports update. It's Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports, as we have it here for you. Chris Morris, the new president of the Edmonton Elks.
Awesome.
As per Jay Milne of Edmonton Sports Talk, Chris Morris will be named the next president of the Edmonton Elks, with the team formally announcing the hire tomorrow. And Connor McDavid will be out 2 to 3 weeks after suffering an ankle injury midway through Monday's game against the Blue Jackets. He twisted his ankle while falling into the boards immediately, heading down the tunnel after play. And the NHL has 6 games on tap, including the Red Wings facing the Jets, the Flames in Utah to take on the hockey club, while the Canucks duke it out with the Devils. Other CFL news see the Stampeders announcing the release of Mark Kimmel, Brett Monson, and Jawan Simpson from their coaching staff. And as per Adam Scheffner, the Carolina Panthers will have Bryce Young as the starter, keeping Andy Dalton to the bench. For the Raptors, Scotty Barnes has been diagnosed with a right orbital bone fracture after taking an elbow Monday night against the Nuggets. Barnes will be reevaluated in 3 weeks, meaning he'll miss at least 11 games for the team. The Raptors are on the court today with the Hornets, while the Celtics meet the Pacers. The Nets face the Grizzlies, and the Spurs battle the Thunder. It's the Dodgers with their second chance to knock off the Yankees in the World Series to become MLB champions. And the sports update has been brought to you by Wheelers RV and Boat Storage, conveniently located 8 minutes west of St. Albert. Wheelers RV is your safe and secure place to store your RV, boat, or whatever it is you want to store. Visit them at wheelersrvstorage.com to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get one free. Go to wheelersrvstorage.com today to get your storage needs taken care of. Just after the break, the conversation with Jed Roberts continues live from the EST studio. I'm Zachary Kubish for your sports update.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheelers RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheelers RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they're the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
The Canadian Ice House is taking your sports experience to a higher level. Trackman golf simulators are now open at the Ice House, an immersive and realistic golfing experience in the heart of downtown Edmonton. Visit in-store or at thecanadianicehouse.com for details.
GCL Diesel has been serving oil country since 1972. From diesel cars to SUVs to pickups. From farm tractors to school buses to a big rig. From diesel generators to forklifts, GCL can test, troubleshoot, and repair all diesel fuel system components. Whether it's injectors, pumps, turbos, filters, or additive, GCL has the parts you need to keep your diesel running the way it should. For genuine diesel parts at wholesale prices, visit GCL Diesel in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel. Diesel understood.
All right, good to have you tuning in this afternoon. Chris Morris is indeed the new president of the Edmonton Elks. We have confirmed that, and we're expecting a news conference tomorrow afternoon for a formal announcement, but we have it for you here on Edmonton Sports Talk this afternoon. If you're following us, if you're watching on YouTube today, give us a thumbs up. We're over halfway to our goal of 100 thumbs up, only a third of the way into the show. We always appreciate that. You can jump into the nasty chat there, and you can text 780-218-9999. The Oilers practiced in Nashville today for tomorrow's game, which is at 6 o'clock. So we'll have an abbreviated Reid Wilkins show tomorrow from 3 to 5, and the Oil Stream pregame show from 5 to 6 with Tom and Hernan. And I imagine if it's we'll have live coverage of the news conference whenever it is. So it'll obviously be before 5 o'clock. McDavid out 2 to 3 weeks. And we'll talk more Oilers as we move along. Jed Roberts is in studio. Great. I always love seeing you, buddy.
It's good to be here.
You know, I've told Jed this before, but possibly my dad's favorite double E of all time.
Oh, that's crazy.
I told you the story, but when you spoke at Grand Trunk.
That's right.
Yeah. My dad's pretty stoic at games. Like, he'll clap, but he's pretty much just enjoy the vibe, take it. I remember once you recovered I think you crushed a guy once on special teams, and he really cheered. And I think there was another time the punt returner like muffed it, and it bounced off his chest, and you were there.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe the happiest I've ever seen my dad, when Jed Roberts recovered a fumble.
Well, that's high praise.
Like, forget about Mike Riley leading him to the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
Oh no, the beauty of Jed Roberts was the look good, play good, baby. I mean, this guy had this swag going on before swag was even a term.
Yeah.
I mean, how many towels did you go through in a season?
Oh, I always had one with my number on it.
Yeah,
right?
that's when you made it.
If I lost it, I get a new one made up. Dwayne always did us pretty good there. You know, he was the guy that kind of, what about this? What about that? And I was like, oh yeah, give me more of that, so.
All right, so we want to get some stories from you before, because I think you're going to do another half hour or so. But we got
he's here till we let him out, Reid.
Well, that's true. Again, he's not getting through me.
No, I'm not.
Like, he's not, I got the middle-aged man strength now to block Jed Roberts.
Yep.
But we got the breaking news about Chris Morris. So you mentioned, the fundraising he did with the U of A. So you got to get scholarships, you got to upgrade the weight room, like a whole bunch of stuff that he did. But I do think it's fair to ask, and I'm sure me or somebody else is going to ask Chris tomorrow. You could argue fundraising for a university program is different than trying to get sponsors to buy an LED strip at Commonwealth Stadium or buy a luxury box or whatever. But so how equipped do you think Chris is to adjust to maybe still a sales world, but maybe a little bit more corporate, if that might be the way to put it?
That it's just about relationships, and I think that Chris is really good at that. He's very good at crucial conversations, and then at the end of the day, it's just two individuals coming together and having a conversation and trying to come to an agreement about something. And I think that Chris has an understanding of this local culture that other people that have been in there, and all respect to Victor Cui, but Victor left and was in Asia for many years, and then he came back. But I think it's been a while since we've had a president that, aside from Lollisher, but he went to the coast and then he came back. And I think Rick was a guy that ran a moving company, and he, it's more of a logistics type of thing. But I don't really think that they're too far off. I think, on the one hand, trying to fundraise for scholarships and trying to get improvements on the weight room and stuff like that at the school, that's a different animal than, trying to get, corporate sponsorships and generating money for ad revenue and all that other stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it's about people. I think that, you get the right people in the right spots and you just let them go to work. And Chris is probably one of the hardest working people I've ever come across. And he wasn't a guy that was necessarily the most gifted. I mean, obviously he was a big guy, but he was also a guy that worked really, really hard to hone and perfect his craft. And he took that work ethic and then he put it into coaching. Whether he was coaching basketball at Emmy Lizard or if he was coaching, football at the U of A, he always had the same sort of lunch bucket work ethic that he took with him. And nobody outworked Chris, and I think he's a guy that, if he doesn't have the answer, he'll ask. He'll be a guy that'll call up Hugh Campbell, he'll call up Rick Lollisher, or he'll call up his friend Ed Hervey, and ask, hey, what do you think about this? So I think it's a great. I mean, I actually don't even know why I didn't think of that, but I never thought that Chris would leave the U of A.
That's the thing; he was entrenched in that role.
Yeah, and it's a great gig, and he's done such a good job of turning that program around and making it respectable again. And now I'm kind of thinking, well, geez, what are they going to do at the U of A now? Eh? Because I'm a guy that I care about Edmonton, I care about all the teams that play here, and so now I'm kind of thinking my mind's rolling. Like, who's going to take over that? So that. When one guy leaves, another guy steps in. So, one man's departure is another man's opportunity. So it's kind of cool to think about that right now. So there's lots of things happening right now in the sports world here. So good day for sports.
Yeah.
Well, and with him there, I do think there is a difference in selling, hey, let's raise money for scholarships for kids, as opposed to, hey, Boston Pizza, we need you as a sponsor. Like, Boston Pizza can see a result from that.
Yeah.
From that relationship. So you're approaching this a totally different way, right? And I think, like what you said about you're surprised. I briefly talked to Chris here just recently, and he said he was very torn about making this decision. That's how much passion and love he has for that Bears football program. But he did also say that he's built something there that is now sustainable.
Yeah.
That there's a guideline and a handbook on how to run this and how to use this vehicle to get it where you want to go. So that'll be an interesting question as well. Because now, where do you go if you're the U of A Bears football team? You've lost your leader. You've lost a motivator. You've lost a salesman. You've lost a lot of hats that he's worn. And that's, yes, there's a foundation there, but it's tough to take that over and run with it.
Yeah, I think that, and I think you sort of alluded to it a little bit, is that he's set it up so that it can run itself. And I think part of that, and people don't really talk about this enough, is succession planning. There's always the idea that you're teaching other people to do your job. If you're a really good leader, great leaders do that. They realize that, it can't be a cult of personality. It has to be something that's sustainable and something that can, when that one person leaves, the other person steps in. I think a guy like AJ Gass, I don't know what the requirements are on there, and I'm not sure. The U of A it's definitely its own animal when it comes to that type of thing. They're looking for a certain type of personality, and AJ's been a head coach in high school. He did reasonably well with limited, kids with certain athletic, at Servite when he was in California. He had a couple good years there, and that's a tough league to play in. So. There's a guy there that could take over if they needed it, if they wanted to go a different direction. I'm sure that now, because of what Chris has done, it can, the guy can come in and probably do fairly well because they have really great talent there now. They're not being physically outmatched anymore like they used to for a while there. So,
well, and they got beaten with the injury stick this year quite badly. I mean, it happens to every team, but the when he was on the show yesterday, he listed off the names. And now the question now is, okay, Chris Morris is your president of this organization. Who is he circling? Who is the person that he finds that's going to be the general manager, who's going to be responsible under Chris's authority, I guess, to hire the next head coach? The name that jumps off right off the bat, and a lot of people have alluded to it, is Ed Hervey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Ed Hervey did some good things here. It wasn't so successful in BC. Now he's out in Hamilton. Now, from what I understand, Ed Hervey resides in Edmonton as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure they strike me as similar people in their discipline and, I guess, commitment to the game. Is that somebody you could... we're speculating off the charts here,
absolutely. I don't know how they get him out of Hamilton, but that's a conversation for sure. I thought it was going to be okay. Sean Fleming, Ed Hervey, and then we'll see what happens, right? So, I don't know, man. That would be my first pick too. But like I said, I didn't see Chris coming, but Chris makes perfect sense, I get it. So there's probably somebody else out there that we're not thinking of that, he could probably take that. A guy like Torrey Hunter, I don't know. There are other guys out there that haven't been in the role yet that can do the job.
Well, and it makes you realize just how hard it has been in the past to make this decision.
Mm-hmm.
This is, 3 months of private ownership, and this is now the result?
Mm-hmm.
Bing, bang, boom, you make the right move. Or, this is a much more impressive hire off the bat than any of the past presidents that have been hired, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm still trying to process it and take it in. I'm so shocked that Chris left the U of A. I'll tell you something on a personal note. My oldest son is 15 years old, and he wants to play for the Selects, right? So I've been texting Chris, and full disclosure, we've been talking about kind of doing something with the Selects for the last couple of years. We opted not to because my son had some injury issues, so he had to kind of get some rest.
The Selects is a club, unit that they pick.
Is kind of like an all-star club. Yeah. That, they send kids down to the States and they play American teams, and it's kind of cool. It's a great experience. A lot of the best kids from the region play on it, and Chris has been kind of behind that whole program, him and AJ, and so I had been texting him, and he hadn't really been texting me back. And then yesterday, he's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I've just been really swamped." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, swamped. What does that mean, right?" So, but I remember thinking that was kind of cryptic, right? So, and then today he's announced as the president. Well, of course he was swamped. You know what I mean? So, I'm just tickled for Chris. I think that, I can take you all the way back to 92, 91 when we were doing the high school advancement camps out in where the parking lot is now. It used to be a practice field, and I remember him being a rookie and coming and being the head coach, and I just was so taken by his methodical approach to, this is the structure, this is the setup, this is the way we're going to do things. I remember thinking to myself, this is the guy that's clearly put together in a way that he knows what he wants, and he's very meticulous in the way that he prepares. So it's an interesting hire, and I'm very curious to see how this is going to go. It's going to be fun.
The Elks have formally announced it, what we told you about half an hour ago here on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Elks do officially announce Chris Morris as the team's new president and CEO. So tomorrow, news conference at 2 o'clock in the Elks locker room. So that's when we'll, I guess, first officially hear from Chris as the team president. Jed, before we break here, you talked about it. We've talked about it for a long time, that there are a lot of one-year contracts in the CFL, and it's hard to build continuity. I mean, even though Winnipeg has retained a lot of players, it's not like they signed them all for 6 years. Even Kenny Lawler left and came here and went back for a year. And so I guess my point is, as much as we talk about stability, there are a lot of good teams that have operated by signing a lot of, like, is that a problem? Do they need to change it where you have to sign for at least 2? Do teams need more power?
Well, I know
to lock
like,
guys up,
Hugh Campbell used to do the 2 and an option, and so you didn't really have a choice. So you were coming in and you were playing 3 years. There was just no negotiating, and they would never let you go
right
in your option year. So it was always a 3 year. So that was one of the things. And then they did away with that, and they let people sign 1 year in an option, and then they started letting guys go after their 1 year.
Right.
Like if they wanted to go to the NFL, we weren't really the league. I mean, wasn't really allowed to stop and stand in their way. So. And I think that the teams that suffered were the teams that didn't have the culture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember this, but Ed Hervey almost went to go play for the Ottawa Rough Riders or the Renegades. I guess,
I remember that. Didn't Fleming give up?
And Fleming gave him some of his because it was a salary thing, and they didn't want to mess up the salary cap. So Sean was like, "No, I'll give you some of my salary." And that's a culture, and
right.
that's when the guys are like invested and have bought in. And the only way you get that is by having guys together for an extended period of time. And I'm not saying keep the same guys together for 10 years because that's not great either, but just having 1 or 2 guys every year that leave, 1 or 2 guys every year that come in, and having that stability and that continuity. But it starts at the top. Like every team's a direct reflection of their ownership, you know, and if the ownership's settled, chances are the team is too.
Well, you got to find good players to begin with too. I mean, thankfully Niles Morgan has been around, so hopefully that's a guy that the Elks keep. All right, we just want to quickly read you this in the nasty chat from Coco Lynn. It says, Jed is my husband's favorite player. We haven't lived in Edmonton for years, but when my hubby was a season ticket holder, he won any player's autographed jersey, and he chose Jed. That's pretty cool.
Wow, that's. I don't think that's happened very often.
You were, if I remember, you were 43, and then you were briefly 76.
Yeah. They changed the rules about eligible players on the line of scrimmage on special teams, and I was always an up back. So I was required to. AJ and I actually were both wearing 40 numbers. AJ wore 41, I wore 43.
Okay.
And so AJ changed his number to 77. I changed mine to 76.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because we wanted to be because we always stood next to each other in the team pictures. But 42 wasn't available because it was Kepley's number,
right?
And so 70, and I thought he wasn't going to give me 76, Dwayne, because that was McGowan's number, and he actually hadn't really given it to anybody. But he said, well, since your dad had that number and that's why you want it, I'll let you wear it.
Because they don't retire numbers, but some are unofficially.
That was an untouchable number.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, James H. Brown. We're in the James H. Brown personal injury law firm. Trent Brown.
Yep.
The heavy hitters of injury law with over 200 years of experience. James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Check him out online, jameshbrown.com. Book your private consultation today. You got energy for one more segment, eh?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll stick around for as long as you want me.
But first, we got Zach Kubish with the sports update.
As first reported by EST's Jay Milne, the Edmonton Elks have named Chris Morris as their president and CEO. Morris is a 3-time Grey Cup champion as a player and most recently coached the Golden Bears football team. Connor McDavid will be out for 2 to 3 weeks due to an ankle injury, with the Oilers hitting the ice without their captain tomorrow. And on a 6-game schedule, it's the Golden Knights battling the Kings, the Avs meeting the Lightning, and the Islanders taking on the Blue Jackets. As per Adam Scheffner, the Carolina Panthers will have Bryce Young as this week's starter, keeping Andy Dalton to the bench. And Scotty Barnes is set to miss at least 11 games for the Toronto Raptors due to fractured orbital bone. He suffered the injury after absorbing an elbow Monday night and is expected to be back in mid-November. The Raptors are in action tonight when they tip off with the Hornets, having 11 total games on tap in the NBA. And it's the Yankees trying to fight their way back against the Dodgers, down 3-1 in the World Series from the Big Apple. Just after the break, more conversation with Jed Roberts here on the Reid Wilkins Show. I'm Zachary Kubish, and that was your Sports Update.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Flyaway to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Flyaway keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for two, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced and innovative accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit gallollp.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
Just got a message from a nasty listening in from Germany to learn more about the Chris Morris hire as the president of the Elks. The Oilers practiced today in Nashville. Of course, no Connor McDavid for 2 to 3 weeks. So Nugent Hopkins was with Jeff Skinner and Hyman, Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Arvidsson, Henrique with Janmark and Brown, Noah Philp expected to make his NHL debut tomorrow, centering Derek Ryan and Corey Perry. Drake Caggiula with the team as well, not expected to play tomorrow. Calvin Pickard is your projected starter in goal. Reid, Jay, and our buddy Jed Roberts here in studio. You did a great job on your experience with Chris and why you think he's going to do a good job as president of the team, which is coming off a 7-11 season, which is an improvement. But they'd only won 4 games the 2 previous years, and they were 3-11 in a shortened year before. I mean, man, oh man, my goal for them is win a damn game in June next year. Yeah. But how do you? I mean, I'm still bummed out about this season. Like, it's more wins, but not enough, and games that slipped away. And I know some fun games at the end of the year that they won, but against teams that maybe weren't that passionate, Calgary and Toronto either. Like, how do you sum it up? Should I feel better than I feel, or what can you say?
I think that the talent, like, again, I've said this, I'm going to say this for the third time, 7 Western All-Stars. Okay. That says right there. I mean, there's just no escaping that. There's talent. So now, is the talent playing up to their team capabilities? I don't think so. They lost a lot of early games, and you talked about June. You know, you got to win the early ones, man. That's what Ron Lancaster used to say, man. You got to win the early ones. You got to get up. And it's so hard to play catch-up football in August and September when you lose 5 or 6 games, and then you're on the outside looking in. So. And there was a young group, and they hadn't played together. And I'm really disappointed by how they handled the quarterback situation. That was something that really frustrated me, just as a fan. We're not talking about football stuff. I'm talking about just as a person that watches the game. When you have a young talent like Trey Ford, wouldn't wouldn't you just want to try to put something in there? Roll both of the quarterbacks in there. Like thunder and lightning. I don't know. You got a guy that runs a 4-3.
Right.
Why not? And I'll never understand that. And I hope that in my heart of hearts that Trey will stick around because he is incredible to watch, man. It's so much fun. Like you're just on the edge of your seat the whole time he's playing, and it's just, I can't remember the last time we had a guy around here that played that position that had people thinking, well, and Riley had a few years there where he was known for, kind of keeping guys guessing and you weren't really sure what you were going to get for him, but he sure turned into something special, didn't he? So I don't know. I think you got to win the early games, and I think that you've got to get the culture set so that the guys know what it takes to win those early games, And I don't know. If you look at the first, 5 games, it was all like boom, 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 like 2 or 3 points every game, and that's inevitably what cost the head guy his job, And so we ended up with what we ended up with. And I agree with you. At the end of the year, you got a Toronto Argonauts team that's just trying to stay healthy, not get anybody hurt for the playoffs.
I'm surprised they played for overtime. They just end the game one way or another.
Yeah, but I like the fact that I love the fact that the game was won on a rouge. As a special teams player, like that's my I love that, right? And people are like, oh man, are you kidding me? The guy kicked it 50 some odd yards in the air. You probably might never see that again, and so. Yeah, this was a disappointing year in so many ways, but there was a lot of things you can build on, and I think that if they can carry that momentum forward, get the front office nailed down, I think this team has really got a lot of moving parts that are really like a hopeful. You got guys on defense that have the potential to be dominant. Like the linebacking core is good. They have a lot of really good things about them, and they did improve and. Some of that was at the expense of some teams that were probably very disinterested at the end of the year. But I think a win is a win, and you can't really take, at the end of the year, at the end of your career, nobody's going to say, well, you got to put an asterisk next to those last 2 wins, right?
Yeah, you get credit for it.
You know what I mean? You get it anyway, right? So I think that you just have to take that attitude that, we're going to build on it, and next year the expectation is that they make the playoffs, and be competitive for the Grey Cup. I think if they can keep Trey Ford around, I think they'll be really good. They can, keeping Rankin, that was a great move. They've already done a couple of really good, solid signings. Some of their guys that they really need. You need to keep those core guys around. And their O-line has been probably the most settled it's been since I can't remember the last 10 years. They weren't as injured as they had been in the years past, but. I tell you what, they all played really well, especially as the year went on. They were running the ball and punching people in the mouth, and that's what you got to do. When they were losing, they weren't running the ball well, and there's no accident. You got to run the ball in this league to have any success, so especially in this time of the year.
Well, that O-line gave up the fewest sacks in the CFL as well.
Yeah, and that part of that is just running the ball. You soften people up, and, they don't have the energy to come after you. But, I tell you what, Winnipeg is a team that's always had success. This time of the year, and when they played, they beat the crap out of Edmonton, and Edmonton couldn't run on them. So, and they obviously had the secret sauce for whatever it is you needed to stop Edmonton. So, and that's something that great coaches will take a look at that and go, maybe we should bring some of that into our team. So, especially on defense, I thought some of the wish list I think for us was probably to get a top pass rusher.
Yes.
Right. A guy that, you want to be able to generate pressure without having to send extra guys. You know what I mean? You want to have
end, baby.
Front four, you got to get a rush ender to, another guy that can, Oakman was a great step in the right direction, but he has a tendency to kind of disappear sometimes. But, but I mean, the 6'9", 300, he can do whatever he wants, That's what I was looking for, but we need a top tier pass rusher. And I think the secondary, you got a couple, maybe 1 or 2 guys away from really having a really good defense. So, I don't know, man. Lots to build on, and I'm excited to see it happen.
Jed, do you have another
you go ahead,
current
Jed.
question?
No.
Okay. I find this fascinating, and for those of listening, watching that haven't followed you or followed what you post on social media and whatnot, talk a bit about your dad, Jay Roberts. Because obviously, he's like your dad. He's like anybody's dad, very looked up to him, and you treasure him and write about him so often. And tell people who he was and what what he meant to you.
Yeah, my dad was a literal giant. When I was a little kid, he was a 6'5", and in that day, that was a big man and he played tight end. He played with the Ottawa Rough Riders from 1964 until 1970. He went to the University of Kansas, where he was a 3-sport letterman. He lettered in basketball, football, and he ran track. He finished 4th in the Big 8 as a high jumper. Great baseball player in high school. He played in the Little League World Series. Just a really good athlete. But he was a guy that was kind of an afterthought. He got an invite to the Rough Riders camp. I don't really understand the story of how he got out there. He broke his collarbone, I think, his senior year. He was playing in Kansas with Gale Sayers, and there was some concern that maybe he wouldn't play again. But he actually only had half of a collarbone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was weird. And so his shoulder would always kind of slip in and out. It was kind of greasy. I remember being a kid and put my hand on it, would feel it pop and stuff. And those guys were a different breed, man. But he played for 7 years, and he was widely considered to be the best blocking tight end. And that was in the golden age of the tight end. You had Herm Harrison. You had just some spectacular tight ends playing in that era. But he loved the game, and I think his career kind of in some ways ended earlier than I think he thought it would. He caught the first touchdown pass in the '69 Grey Cup, and then in 1970 he was released halfway through the year because Frank Clare, the great head coach, had gone to the front office, was the general manager, and the head coach I think was Jack Gotta, and it was a guy that wasn't really too fond of my dad because my dad was the player rep, and it was the newly formed Players Union that had just been formed I think in '69, and so there was some dispute about player time on the field and stuff, and that was old school. They felt like they could keep you out there as long as they wanted, and my dad was like, no, you got to, we get to. They used to run this play, that group of players, Whit Tucker, who just passed away, Russ Jackson, and Ronnie Stewart. They had this play. It was called 88 and out the gate, and so they would send Margene Adkins on a fly route. And they would throw it as far as they could, and he would just run the ball all the way into the locker room. He pulled a Pee Wee Smith before Pee Wee Smith knew what it was, and that was the end of practice. And so that Jack Gotta wasn't with that program. He felt like he could keep the guys out as long as he wanted, and so ended up costing my dad his career. But he was a bit of a rebel. He was an interesting character. I was the loudest voice in any room he ever went in, and I did a lot of interesting work with the Indigenous community in Ottawa. He was with the Métis Association with Ottawa, and he was also with Indian Affairs for many years, and then he worked with Congress of Aboriginal Peoples, and that's what he was doing when unfortunately he passed away in 2010. But he was always a larger-than-life guy, and one that always he didn't really relate to little kids well, so when I was a little kid, I didn't see him around, and he didn't really talk too much, but when I got older, some of the conversations that we had were just like, I look back now and I'm like, holy smokes, like my dad always talked to me like I was an adult, and almost to my detriment and sometimes because I think I learned to question things that I probably shouldn't question, But he was always an analytical thinker, and he would always say, why do you think people do this way, and what do you think, how do you think they should approach it? He was always about solutions, right? And he was a really good guy in terms of like thinking of ideas, not so much about process. He could come up with the idea, but he wouldn't stick around to implement the idea. And so he was a dreamer, and I miss him very much. But I'm fortunate that I was able to call him my dad. Like not too many guys can say, your dad caught a touchdown pass in the Grey Cup and, won 2 Grey Cups. And I was fortunate I got to do the same thing. And now our names are on the Grey Cup trophy above and below one another. So the 68 plaque for the Ottawa Rough Riders is right above the 1993 plaque for the Edmonton Elks.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's amazing, so very cool. Something that I do talk about a lot. I think, his birthday, he would have been 80. Yeah, he would have been 80. Yeah. Man, so it's been a while.
Oh, thanks for
I miss him.
that,
I miss being able to pick up the phone and call him and talk about football and stuff like that. But I hear his voice in my head every day, and I know he's always with me. So
yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Barry the Cheater writes in, he says, whenever I wear my Eskimos or Elks gear to my local Shoppers Drug Mart, the kind lady used to mention often that her son-in-law played for the Elks. I finally had an opportunity to ask, who is your son-in-law? She mentioned it was Jed Roberts.
Oh, nice.
And he said, that's my favorite Eskimo ever. Elk ever.
Well, that's who he played for.
That's
fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But, you said not many people had a chance to, have a dad that caught a a touchdown in a Grey Cup. And, your children could say the same thing. I mean, there's not many kids that could say that their dad sacked Doug Flutie.
Yeah,
That's
true.
I want to talk about some of the, because obviously we're breaking news is that, Chris Morris is now the president and CEO of the Edmonton Elks. And, we've discussed that and, you've played with him in the past, but, he was a one badass old lineman,
he was, yeah.
right?
Yeah, he was.
Talk about a bit about, having to go up against a guy like that and really that star-studded offensive line back in the day that you had to practice.
Chris and I, for many years, I think Chris came in 91. I want to say 91. I was 91 and 92. And he came in and he wasn't expected to play right away, right? Because we had an all-star right tackle by the name of Trevor Bowles.
Oh, yeah.
And Trevor was a mauler. Like, he was a monster, and he was known for being super, super physical, super aggressive. And, the USFL came and tried to pry him away from the Edmonton Football Club, and Hugh ended up giving him a big, big signing bonus to keep him here. And he was our guy, and he was going to be here for a really long time. Like, he was basically when you look back and you think of Rod Knopp, I mean, he was the Rod Knopp, right? So he tore his pectoral muscle in 91, and then he came back and he tore his other pectoral muscle. And because that's how aggressive this guy was. He generated so much power with his punch. And then, so Chris was our top draft pick that year, and he wasn't expected to play. He was expected to be on the bench and kind of learn the game. And then they threw him in, and he got thrown into the fire. And everybody's like, well, how's this kid going to respond? And you know what? He came in and he played exactly like Trevor. Like, he had that powerful, powerful punch. And one thing about Chris is that when him and I would go up against each other, I always had I had a really wicked spin move. And so when he would punch me, I'd always spin out of it, and it would drive him crazy. And so before every game, we had this pregame ritual where it would be me and him lining up first. And then we came to a truce after about a year or two. It's like, listen, you don't need to spin. And I said, I don't need to spin, and you don't need to take my head off. So let's just let's just get through the pregame warm up and
save it for the game.
Stay in one piece, right? And we laugh, and we talk about that now, And for years it was always that O-line had played together for so long, and our defensive line, actually our front seven, I think, with Leroy, Malvin, and, pickup nose guard, but Willie Pless and Larry Ruck, we had all been there. So that group, like that core, that nucleus was together for about 7 or 8 years while I was there. And so before games, we would give speeches. They started asking me to do the speech on the field before the game. And so everybody would have their hands on my back, and I'd give a speech underneath all of the weight of, couple 1,000 pounds of guys pushing down on my back. And Chris would be the guy that would kind of push me and go, it's your turn to talk. And so I'd start talking and give him a speech. And I had a big book it was a quotationary, and I'd always study for about an hour or two the night before every game and come up with something inspirational to say. And that's something that I took into my public speaking. But that's kind of where I got my start, And Chris was was kind of the impetus for a lot of that, because he had himself established in the community already. He was working as a teacher, and he was coaching, and then he became a principal. And he's a guy that kind of did it the hard way. He went in, he did the work, he didn't take any shortcuts. And there's one thing about him is that he is such a hard worker. There's nobody that's going to outwork Chris Morris. And that's something that, he was an inspirational guy that way. And before the game, man, you would come in, and he was so serious, and he would have this scowl on his face. And his nickname,
yes,
we used to call him the Count, because he looked like the Count from Sesame Street, because he had a little bit of a widow's peak, right? And he had this scowl, and Blake Dermott would come in and go, a 1, a 2, a 3, And Chris would, I couldn't repeat what Chris would say back to him, but we would always laugh because Chris was so serious. But that's the competitor in Chris, right? Like, he wanted to beat people, and he wasn't going to let anything slide. But Chris was kind enough to give me a pass in pregame warm-up. So,
Jed, an absolute pleasure to have you in studio. Of course, I'm honored that you're a weekly guest here on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. But thanks so much for taking the time to come in. Perfect day to do it as your former teammate and longtime friend Chris Morris, leaving the U of A Golden Bears to become the president of the Edmonton Elks. We broke that about an hour ago here on the show. The Elks announced it at about 4:15, and the news conference will be at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Hey, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, man. I'll be back.
That is Jed Roberts. Here comes Zach Kubish with a sports update.
As first reported by EST's very own Jay Milne, the Edmonton Elks have named Chris Morris as their next president and CEO. Morris won the Grey Cup 3 times as a player and most recently acted as the head coach of the Golden Bears football team. Captain Connor McDavid has sustained an ankle injury and will miss 2 to 3 weeks for the Oilers. McDavid twisted his ankle Monday night against the Blue Jackets after falling into the boards. And the NHL schedule has 6 games, with the Canucks playing the Devils, the Lightning battling the Avs, and the Jets in Detroit to face the Red Wings. For the Raptors, they'll miss Scotty Barnes for at least 11 games as he fractured his face when taking an elbow Monday night in that game against the Nuggets. And Toronto hits the court tonight with the Hornets having 10 other games around the association. And the Dodgers have their second chance to knock off the Yankees to become MLB champions, up 3-1 in the series. This sports update has been brought to you by Sit and Sleep. The wait is over. Sit and Sleep is now open. Celebrate with 20,000 square feet of savings on the trendiest furniture, home decor, and mattresses. Apply for your Sit and Sleep card today to make no payments for 18 months interest-free. Sit and Sleep. Find them beside Planet Fitness in South Edmonton Common, or check them out online at sitandsleep.ca. Further discussion about Chris Morris becoming the Edmonton Elks' president and CEO. Just after the break, I'm Zachary Kubish for your sports update.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheeler's RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheeler's RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 1,000 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store, or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
At Mind 360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind 360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind 360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment.
320. All right, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Incredible extended chat with Jed Roberts. Perfect day to have him in studio as his former teammate and current friend. Chris Morris is the new president of the Edmonton Elks. We started talking about that at 3 o'clock, and we had it confirmed for you about an hour ago, and then the Elks announced it at 4:15. So it's from EST, and now it's from the team itself. As this portion of the show, presented by Alberta Tutoring, locally owned and operated, Alberta Tutoring offers certified Alberta teachers who know the curriculum and what their students need to learn. Specializing in high school math, physics, and science, their skilled tutors can meet with students virtually while offering flexible scheduling. And right now, take advantage of their limited time offer. Enter promo code EST and get 40% off your first session Visit albertatutoring.ca today. Book your local experienced tutor. Yeah, great work, Jay, because you were all over this and leading the charge here at EST on the Chris Morris story.
Well, the football community in Edmonton is tight. And when things like this are moving around, it's hard to keep that a secret like that. And to be honest, Chris is a beloved guy in the Edmonton football community.
Mm-hmm.
Just his dedication to what he's done there at the U of A. If you're wondering, is this the right hire? Is this my thought would be just to let's wait and see and give him a bit of time, because Reid, we talked about this earlier. Chris does not now have to run off-season camps for 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds.
Right.
This is his full-time job. He's got a budget.
Right.
He doesn't have to create his budget. Now he can focus on football-related items. And I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see this club get back to its winning ways, get back to its tradition of being an organization of excellence,
mm-hmm.
which Chris will not settle for anything less than that. I can assure you of that. Now, it starts with getting the right people, like you said.
Yeah.
It starts with hiring this GM. So, see, it'll be an interesting couple weeks here.
Well,
I would imagine they're not going to name a GM till after the Grey Cup.
I don't know.
It's hard to say. Yeah.
Well, Rick LeLacheur, who's now outgoing, said they'd like to have all 3 positions in place by the Grey Cup. Now, I can tell you, the league generally requests/orders its teams not to make any significant announcements in the week and a half before the Grey Cup. So I think that would start, a week from today. So we'll see. I doubt they'd come out and unveil anybody tomorrow. That would be quite the news conference. But yeah, and we're buying or selling here with Chris Morris as president of the Elks for Damon Bunting, a consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or the Instagram handle, Damon Bunting Real Estate. I think there will be, and we talked about it a bit with Jed, and I think Chris will be asked this tomorrow. There will be, I think, relevant and legitimate questions. Okay, you've run a university program. What makes you think, and I don't mean that in like a snotty way, but I think it's a relevant question. What makes you think you can run a pro football team, even if you played for it and understand? I think that's going to be a relevant question. What translates? I think that's all relevant. I'm curious what Chris has to say. Ultimately, the work he does will prove whether or not he can do it. But I think, as Jed was kind of indicating, he's a smart guy. He works hard. He figures things out as he's doing things. He does understand the city. He knows the community. He has connections. Sure, selling sponsorship or ads or whatever or suites is probably a little different than getting scholarship money or donations or things like that. But off you'll go. But I think that'll be a fair question. I think the good thing is, as you talk about stability, is like Chris Morris is not going anywhere. And now Larry Thompson, as he bought the team, he's not going anywhere. So I would hope there's a commitment here. But we don't know how good they're going to be in year one of Chris Morris's tenure, unfortunately. I hope they're continue to improve. We'll see. But Chris Morris is here for stability and to build something long-term, right? This isn't like, I wonder how he's going to do, like a couple of the other presidents maybe we've had. He's here. He lives in Edmonton. He's lived in Edmonton a long time, cares about the franchise, and he's invested in it, as is now Larry Thompson as the owner. So that's good for me. If you talk about stability and the quote that Chris gave us yesterday, this is step one towards a little more stability with the Elks.
Yes, and I can tell you this, that in the brief conversation I had, one of the main points he mentioned was his love for the Thompson family and how dedicated they are to allowing him to deliver his process. So the timeline is available. They just want to get this thing turned around. And to ask is how is he going to run a professional football team? Running that Bears program is like running a business as well. And on that side of things, he has done very well. I mean, this was a team that was projected to be a Vanier Cup contender. Now, injuries happen, right? I know it's an excuse. Injuries happen to everybody, but they happen quite a lot this year for that team. So I feel that Chris can be the guy that can run the business side and get the people to buy in. He's very good at it. He's done very well at that at U of A. I mean, this guy, he's bringing in $500,000, $600,000 a year to that team. So, with the help of having an ownership group that's going to give you, take the gloves off, and then having the buy-in from that group as well, and from Larry Thompson to say, no, we believe in your process, go deliver it. I think that's a winning recipe.
I wanted to mention this year, Frank Saravelli posting this. Matt Benning has been traded, the Edmonton guy who used to be an Oiler. Matt Benning traded to Toronto along with a couple of draft picks, and San Jose getting defenseman Timothy Liljegren from the Leafs. So Matt Benning, who was it, Oilers, Predators, Sharks, and now he's going to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, it's and now there's a hole to fill at the U of A, and I know, I guess Chris's final head coaching record won't be very good. I mean, the first few seasons were tough. They got better, and then this year, as he talked about yesterday, derailed by him. Like, they had legitimate Vanier Cup hopes this year. I mean, that wasn't just us being homers. Like, they were picked to win Canada West in the preseason poll, and they missed the playoffs with a lot of injuries. But I think you make a good point. There's as much as you want to win at the university level, there are other things going on. I mean, you want to graduate players, and you want to build a culture and all that kind of stuff. I think Chris was able to do that, and now he's going to try to do that at the professional level with the Elks too.
Absolutely, and I think I'm very pro Chris, so forgive me for that, but that's because I've seen what this guy is capable of. Like Jed said, he's the hardest working SOB you will meet. He will not be outworked. I can assure you of that. But it takes a team.
Yeah.
And it takes a team that's going to be here and sustained. And you mentioned that right off the bat, and that was interesting yesterday. We'll give you a little peek here, but Reid picked that up right away after his interview. Is when the question about the Elks was asked. I mean, it was like
Cooper, are you able to play the Morris clip again? So just for some context,
Sure.
If you missed, or even if you've heard it already, I think you'll want to hear it again. So we did the interview with Chris yesterday, kind of the post-mortem on the Bears season, and then Jay asked him again, and then Jay asked him at the end, the team he used to play for, the Elks, what do they need? What's going on there?
Jason, they just need stability. They need a clear identity as to how they're going to work with people. A clear identity as to how they're going to treat everybody in their organization, a clear identity as to how they're going to attract players here, not for 1 year, but for a 5, 6, 8, 10-year career, right? And if they can clear that up and they can get back to, working with some integrity and working with the things that, that have always kind of been the cornerstone of that place, everything will turn. So I think, the president, starting with leadership there's lots of things that can happen by that position. And I think that's a very important one for them.
All right. And of course, when he was doing that interview yesterday, he knew he was going to be president of the team. So, he answered it. And that again, like I said earlier, that perked my ears up too, because there is a point where it's not always appropriate to comment on another organization. I mean, I'm somewhat in that situation. Well, why'd Ched change this to 880? I don't know.
Yeah.
And even if I do hear stuff, it's not appropriate for me to talk about it anymore.
Fair point.
So, with Chris, it's like, he easily could have said, hey, I used to play for the Double E. I love them. I want them to do better. But it's, it's not up to me to, I'm not hiring people. I just hope things turn around. He could have answered that. He gives kind of a non-answer answer. But when he said that, I was like, okay. And you already sort of had an inkling as well. I was like, okay, what is going on here? Now, also, like I referenced earlier, what he's saying is what any team president will say. Everybody's going to want stability and stuff like that. But we've seen Chris create stability, and build things with the U of A Golden Bears. So I think you can make a safer bet than with some that he's going to translate that to the CFL level too. But it is interesting. I mean, who's the GM going to be? Who's the coach going to be? I'll say it. What are they going to think of Trey Ford? What is Chris going to think of Trey Ford? I mean, he's going to let those people do their jobs. But I know Chris believes. I mean, sometimes people say, well, the CFL is a quarterback league. And as much as Brock Sunderland's tenure with the Elks as the GM is not well regarded, and I think rightfully so in most cases, he did say on my old show once, he goes, the CFL is not a quarterback league. Football is a quarterback sport. Like, even if you got a bunch of 8-year-olds, you'd prefer to have the better quarterback.
100%.
So, what is Chris going to think of that situation? What's his new GM, if there is a new GM, going to think of that situation? So all questions now that we look at from a slightly different angle because we have one of these positions filled.
Yeah, and so the question was buying or selling on is Chris Morris the guy that's going to lead this?
I'm going to buy it because I'm optimistic and we know him. And he has a track record of working and having community contacts and being resilient and being intense and all those types of things and building relationships, right? And this is, so it makes me feel a little, because what did you say? I mean, I haven't been sitting around crowing about a 7-11 season. Like, I've been pretty much like, okay. And you even said to me, well, don't you feel better Larry Thompson is as the owner? And I was like, no, I don't, because I don't know who he's going to hire. Okay, so to me, this is a good hire.
Yeah. This adds a little bit of a good feeling about the overall season for this team. I mean, what changes? I mean, board of directors gone, private owner in, new president named. That is a person that was involved in some of the most successful years of this organization and lives and breathes the work ethic that comes with trying to get to that level. So I'm very happy about it. Zach,
we're trying to do the airplane. There it is. It was 4 minutes late for its landing.
That's okay.
It is time to give the keyword for the EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780, a homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. 780, both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also worked with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com. It's the word 7, the numbers 80.com. 5 locations: Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. You are qualifying to have a chance to win a trip to Los Angeles from December 26th to the 30th, flight for 2, hotel, rental car, tickets to see your own Edmonton team play an NHL game, tickets to see the Rams play the Cardinals in the National Football League, and tickets to see the Clippers up against the Warriors in the association. We're qualifying 4 people a day plus 1 on Saturdays, October 1st to the 28th. We give the trip away on November 29th on the Nielsen Show in the morning. You have to text in this keyword to 780-218-9999. The keyword today is boards, as in what you body check someone into. Boards is the keyword. We will have more on the Oilers, more on the Elks hiring Chris Morris. We will recap our poker experiences last night. Mine was awful, but I'll explain how. We got the Cube coming up with a sports update too.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
UFC lives at the Canadian Brew House with the most TVs, great food and drinks, and the perfect party atmosphere. There's no better way to experience UFC 309 on November 16th. See.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching the button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as a ninja fighting off evil samurai. Park Mazda, your dealer for life insurance.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Wholesat, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at gcldiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
As first reported by EST's Jay Milne, the Edmonton Elks have named Chris Morris as their president and CEO. Morris is a three-time Grey Cup champion as a player and most recently coached the Golden Bears football team. Connor McDavid will be out 2 to 3 weeks after suffering an ankle injury midway through Monday's game against the Blue Jackets. He twisted his ankle after being tripped and falling into the boards immediately heading down the tunnel after the play, and it was the Toronto Maple Leafs trading Timothy Liljegren to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Matt Benning, a 2025 third-rounder, and a 2026 sixth-round pick. On schedule, it's the Red Wings facing the Jets, the Flames in Utah to take on the hockey club. While just getting underway in a moment, the Islanders face the Blue Jackets. For the Raptors, Scotty Barnes has been diagnosed with a right orbital bone fracture after taking an elbow in Monday night's game against the Nuggets. Barnes will be reevaluated in 3 weeks, meaning he'll miss at least 11 games for the team. The Raptors are on the court today with the Hornets, while the Celtics meet the Pacers and the Nets face the Grizzlies. The Spurs battle the Thunder. It's the Dodgers with their second chance to knock off the Yankees in the World Series, with the Yankees avoiding the sweep yesterday. The Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne continues right now. I'm Zachary Kubish, and that was your Sports Update.
Okay, 5:04. Hope you're having a great afternoon. The Oilers play tomorrow against the Nashville Predators. So, we'll have another good day tomorrow. Well, every day's a good day at EST, but some days there are bigger things to talk about than others. The Elks News Conference will be at 2 with Chris Morris as the new president of the team that has been formally announced. We told you about it about 30 to 35 minutes before the Elks officially announced it. Jay Milne was all over it this morning, suggesting something was going on social media. So that was pretty cool. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. We want to get to 100, and we're at 99. Not enough. Be the 100th thumber.
Who's it going to be?
Who's it going to be? Thanks for everybody chatting in the Nasty Chat as well. A lot of discussions, obviously, about the Oilers and about Chris Morris. 780-218-9999 is the EST inbox. So the Oilers confirmed McDavid ankle injury out 2 to 3 weeks. What did I say earlier? 6 to 11 games? I printed up my schedule. Now I can't find it. There's at least 6 games by the looks of it if you go by 2 weeks. And Noah Philp expected to make his NHL debut tomorrow. Good for him. Hopefully he does well.
This might, though, upset your preseason prediction of his first NHL goal.
Oh, didn't I say it was going to be January 6th in Boston or something like that?
Yes.
That would be cool if he scored tomorrow. What day did I say?
Was it Boston or Pittsburgh?
I forgot that was one of my goofy predictions. No, I'm going to find it now. I think it was January 7th in Boston.
There you go.
Though they do play the Penguins January 9th, but I thought I said the Boston game.
I had Penguins in my head.
Well, I said
It's one of the black and gold
It's
teams.
one of the black and yellow teams.
There you
Yes. So, but it's not the Steelers, so we can tell you that.
tell you that
World
for
Series could end tonight.
But do you think it will?
Probably. I don't know. Our off-topic topic, I'm going to change it.
Well,
we have one.
We've got a couple.
Frozen, the frozen foods with another one. Frozen snacks.
I think we can pivot.
Yeah.
if
The one
you
I
will.
suggested was way too dark.
And we could have done it in real live time with Jed. We could have locked him.
We could have kept them, yes.
Yeah, we could have kept him as one of our, I don't know, what would you call him? Just an errand boy?
Yeah, just kept them.
He's too big
Just
for that.
kept them around.
He would have fought his way out of this for sure.
Yes.
Off-topic topic, The Fan with Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes portrays somewhat what you are talking about. That came in on the ESPN Bucks. Have you seen that movie?
Which one?
The Fan.
Yes, I have seen The Fan.
Where he
long time
essentially
ago, yeah.
kidnaps the player. Not for the reasons he was just a super fan. Hey, guys, your off-topic topic is like that Simpsons episode with the softball team.
Oh.
I believe it's Homer at the bat.
Over at the bat,
yeah.
yes.
I would totally hypnotize Kachuk to make him think he's a chicken or make him shave his sideburns. Cheers, William Mike Spear. And this is our pivot topic for the off-topic topic coming in from Bones. I have a buddy who lets the Cheetos stale, and then he warms them up in a frying pan. That's diabolical.
He lets the Cheetos go stale and then heats them up in a frying pan.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Now, are these Cheetos or are these Hawkins cheesies? Because
No,
if
I
you
think
warmed up
Cheetos would be
Cheetos
different.
in a frying pan, wouldn't they just go like shrink into nothing?
Maybe that's what he likes.
Then that would make them harder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe that's what he likes, the crunch. I don't know. That's a good one.
Coob, who we got on the phone?
Logan's wife.
Logan's wife is on the phone.
Logan's wife. yep.
Okay, Logan's wife. It's Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
How long have you and Logan been married?
It'll be 3 years this year.
Oh, well, congratulations.
It's New Year's. Yeah.
Okay. So who's the more loyal EST listener, you or Logan?
I'm sorry, but it's Logan.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening and qualifying. Have you two ever, what's the greatest trip you two have ever taken together?
Mexico in 2011.
Oh, wow.
So you've been
Really
together
anywhere
much
since.
longer than you've been married.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Los Angeles?
I have not. No,
Oh,
but
well,
would
you-
love to go.
You might have the chance.
Can I ask you a little bit more about your New Year's Eve wedding? Because I've attended a New Year's Eve wedding, and I thought it was spectacular. I thought it was fantastic. What was the reasoning behind? Was that just you wanted to get everybody in a? Because there's a debate, right? The long weekend wedding is a faux pas, they say. But I thought it was quite it was quite a strong statement to have a New Year's wedding. How was yours, and what made you come to that date?
I don't know. It was just something we talked about, and I kind of threw it out there, and it just kind of was like, yeah, you're always kind of looking for a good party, but you don't want to necessarily have to pay, high-priced tickets to get dressed up and go out. Our wedding was an excuse to get dressed up and go out and have a good time with people you actually want to have a good time with.
Oh.
All in one room, have a good meal. And, it actually ended in 2021. We had to push it 1 year because of COVID, so...
Right.
Yeah.
And our off-topic topic today is pivoted. We're now talking about which maybe salty, sweet snack. Do you have any snacks that you'd prefer to keep cold?
Chocolate bars, Mars bars specifically.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. That's a
lovely.
good call,
That's
too. Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's incredible. All right, Logan's wife, congratulations on qualifying. We will be giving the trip away on the Nielsen Show on November 29th, so please listen then. And thank you so
You
much for
betcha.
tuning
I
in
will be.
today.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Jay, how did you know when they were married?
She said it.
Oh, did she say it?
Yeah. Well, I'm telepathic too.
Did she say it?
Yeah. That's
She
how
said 3 years. Oh, maybe I might have.
New Year's. She said 3 years will be coming at New Year's.
Oh, I must have missed that because I was already asking.
Well, that's how I knew
Yeah.
about the Chris Morris news.
You're psychic,
Telepathy.
I believe is the word.
Yeah.
All right. By the way, Jed was talking about the Elks West Division All-Stars. They are Gino Lewis, Mark Cordy, Martez Ivey, Elliot Brown, Nick Anderson, Luchez Purifoy, and Jake Julian. Where's Morgan?
He's on there.
Did I not say him? No, Niles Morgan is not. What am I missing here? No, Niles Morgan is not a West All-Star.
Get out of here.
Lewis, Purifoy, Ivy, Cordy, Brown, Anderson, and Julian. That's 7. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
How can you be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year and not make the CFL?
Well, he was the team nominee. He was the team
So
nominee.
what?
Yeah, that's
But
weird.
This is weird because Nick Anderson is.
Yeah. Well, he's good, too. He was a good interview last week on the show. All right.
Wow.
It is time. Oh, my goodness. To get fired up, courtesy of Gemco. Gemco Fireplaces, proudly serving Edmonton and area for 45 years. The authorized dealer for Napoleon fireplaces. Whether it's gas or wood burning, look no further than Canadian-made Napoleon fireplaces. All the Napoleon products you need available at Gemco, 9281 50th Street. Okay, so last night we went in the, the Cool Bet Lock Shop Poker Tournament?
Yeah, the Lock Shop Poker Series.
All right, you did very well.
Well, I could have done better. I don't know what I was doing. I finished 8th. So I was the highest.
Were there 58 or 60?
There was 70-some
really?
people, because people rebought, right?
Oh, but original people, there was 58.
Is that?
And I was last. Anyway, I'll let you finish first.
Well, I don't know. Losers first.
Well, okay.
Now let's just go back. Let's just roll the clock back here. Just just over 24 hours. Let's say 26 hours ago at that time, you were quite stressed.
I was stressed because I wasn't sure I was registered properly, and I feel. I don't mind trying new things, but I felt nervous about this because I felt like I was going into something that a lot of people would be very familiar with how it all worked, and I didn't know. I mean, I know how the poker hands work and generally how the betting works, but I just felt as if it would be very fast-paced, and maybe I would be holding things up, or I wouldn't know the exact odds of what to do. So I believe I was the first person eliminated after 19 minutes. And as I've stated, I haven't played a lot of. It's Texas Hold'em, right? Yep. Involving other humans. I've done an in-person tournament. I don't think I've ever done an online tournament. And I will say this, and I am not against anybody liking it. I'm not going to tell people what to like or don't like. I realize poker is quite popular. I can only speak for myself and give my experience. I found it rather boring. And it's gambling, and anytime there's gambling, there is a lot of luck involved. Like if you get, and Tom Gazzola was at my table yesterday, and he won a hand that it didn't look like he was going to be able to win based on the flop and how other people were betting. And old Tommy had pocket aces, and he'd never had pocket aces before in his life, right? So he was off and running right away. I made, when I was eliminated, I made foolish bets. But I reached the point where I thought, well, I might as well just stay in it to the end and see what happens. I mean, I could have folded on the what's the last card? The river.
Yep.
And I still would have lost, probably 2/3 of my bankroll. So I just called and thought, well, I might as well be all in and see if I can luck out. And I lost to, I think the big uke had pocket 9s, and a 9 came up in the flop. I had a Jack King pocket, and a Jack came up in the flop, so I was trying to get, the third Jack or a King, but I still would have lost. But I was foolish to stick with it that long. But, it's gambling, and I really feel like that form of poker, I don't know if it's a test of your card skills. To me, it's just an exercise in patience.
It is.
How many times can you fold
Yes.
until you get a good hand that you want to play?
100%.
And I didn't find that interesting. Now, I fully admit there are things that I do, like play board games and sometimes read very thick rule books that a lot of people wouldn't find entertaining or wouldn't have the patience for. I'm more inclined to have the patience for those types of things than Texas Hold'em. So in hindsight, I probably should have played that a little smarter and tried to stay in the tournament a little bit longer. But I really felt as if this is just an exercise in just how long you can wait and how much time you want to take just folding. And I didn't find that interesting. Now, having said that, I probably will go in a future tournament just to bond with everybody here and the Nasties.
Well, and here's the thing, too, and Big Uke says it best here. He says, not having Dusty's stream changed the overall experience. Dusty's usually on the stream talking throughout it, and it is 100% fire entertainment. And then once he gets bounced, he then pulls up the other tables and calls the action on the other tables.
Oh, and okay.
So it adds an element that is just hilariously funny.
Right.
But yeah, there was. I think Duck Dad ended up winning it. Is that somebody can confirm that? I'm trying to find.
But
here,
you made the final table.
Yes, I did. I finished 8th. Penner's Pancakes was at the final table. Penner's Pancakes had a massive stack. I don't know if it's Waddy and Cloverdale, but there was a Waddy 71 that was at the final table. Obviously, Big Uke played, Jen Cool and Hubby Cool played. But there was, it was fun. It was a great. I lost on the stupidest hand ever. You want to talk about fired
Okay,
up?
I want to hear how you lost though, and if you played it.
No,
it by the odds.
I totally lost my sense of surroundings. I don't know what I was doing. I limped into a pot with a 2-4 suited. That's not even like a hand that I normally would play like on a win.
Okay, you're going for a flush or a straight.
Yeah, so the flop comes King, 7, Jack, 2 clubs. So I'm one card away from a flush. And I ended up going all the way and betting stupid amounts of money, chasing this flush, and I eventually lost to a pair of kings.
So should have you folded as soon as you saw the 2 and the 4, though? Even if they were suited?
100%.
Yeah, just
What
don't
am I
even
doing?
play a 2 and a 4.
Why am I
Unless you can check, unless you already have a blind, right?
Yeah, and I did not. I chased this, and it was very because you're right. It is no secret. Poker is all about patience and waiting for the right hands and pouncing on it. I don't know why I did that,
but see, I guess it's just my personal preference. And maybe because even though it goes along pretty fast, you only have 1/8 of the turns. I can sit at my table if I have a quiet night or it's a storm outside and pull out a solo board game. And dive into the rules and place all the cubes and markers where they're supposed to be and totally lose myself. But if it's just, or even if I'm with a couple other friends, everybody's sort of doing it together, as opposed to like, well, I'm just sort of okay. I'm folding. Okay, now I got to wait for them to finish. That's just how I felt, and I realize I'm in the minority, and I'm not one of these people like, oh, I think people who do it are stupid. No, I don't. I think it's great if you love it. I'm just explaining why it's not for me.
I get what you're saying. It's a lonely existence. You're staring at your computer screen by yourself, playing against 8 other people or 7 other people, and it tests your patience 100%. And poor Uke, he finished 13th out of 72 entries, and only the top 12 got paid.
Oh no!
So he missed out on even getting his dang money back. Yeah, and Max isn't right. A 4-high flush. Like, that's not even a good flush.
Well, you would have had a higher flush than that.
Well, if it hit, I would have won.
Yes.
But it was just a stupid call.
I mean, I didn't. There was another hand I lost money on because I think I had like a suited 7 and an 8, and then I think there was a 5 and a 10 in the flop, so I looked at one more card.
Well, you can go back in on the cool bet and look at your
I don't
hand
really
history.
need to watch it replayed. I'm really not that interested.
Well, and as announced today on the Lock Shop, I am now the top dog in EST and WST,
Which I'm proud of you for being. And again, I don't diminish or anything who people who are good at poker and who win poker tournaments at all. I admired it. I'm just saying it's not for me. I didn't find it an overly engaging activity. Maybe I wasn't open-minded enough about it. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that, I'm good at poker necessarily. I've probably played more of that style of poker than you.
Well, for sure you have.
Because it just comes down to patience.
Yeah.
It really does.
And I guess I'd sooner be patient doing other activities that are leisurely activities. Fair?
Yep. And
I'm
Grumpy
glad
Cat,
you did well.
Thank you. Waddy in Cloverdale. He says, thanks for the bounty glue guy. I've already reinvested some of my winnings on tonight's NHL games. You should. Unfortunately, it was all in vain as I absolutely nursed a hand and coughed up my winnings to duck Dad. Waddy in Cloverdale. Waddy, you should actually take the winnings of the bounty you got from me and go buy a glue guy hoodie in the EST shop. How about that? Hi, it's longtime listen from all other radio waves, Merman.
Oh, yeah.
He says he was the 100th like. Thanks, Merman.
Oh, thanks, Merman.
Rob from the Grove, live on location tomorrow, gents. We will have some form of...
Yeah, we'll see how we're going to cover it.
We're going to see how it's going to work, but we will have people down there.
Does anybody remember the Merman from Cabin in the Woods, that movie? I'll just leave that there. That was one of the funnier parts of that movie.
I've heard of Merman somehow, but I don't know if I'm hearing it, the same as you. Grumpy Cat, our award-winning fan, listener. I don't know if you were serious, Reid. What is an example of a solo board game?
It's a game you specifically... There are board games that are specifically designed for solo play. So if you look on the box, number of players, it'll say 1. There are other multiplayer games that have a solo mode. Usually they're cooperative. So you're playing against a deck of cards or some sort of game system or something that's trying to stop you that's automated. So that's a solo board game. It's a game you can play yourself or is designed for specific. I have games that are specifically designed for one person to play.
Really?
Yes. Halls of Hagra I was playing last night. It's a new game.
What is it?
Halls of Hagra. It's a simulation of a World War II situation in which snowbound Norwegians were trying to hold off the Nazis.
Of course. Did you win?
I'm halfway through because I was learning it as I was playing.
Is that a silly question?
No.
Can you...
But for a lot of the games, it's the experience as well. That's the great thing I love about board games. It's like,
can't you just cheat and tell your friends you won?
Yeah, but why do that? It's fun. It's fun to learn the rules and follow the rules.
I'm just learning about these solo board games.
Yeah, no, there's lots. Friday is a great solo card game that I play. Resist is an awesome solo game. It's about playing as Spanish Maquis during the Second World War, and you're deploying people with different strengths to try to complete missions. It's Resist with an exclamation mark. It is excellent. I don't want to get too much down this rabbit hole because I'll go on until 7 o'clock.
Please, we are here for that.
Someday when we don't have as big a news a day. Portions of this hour presented by the Canadian Brew House. Book your holiday party at the CBH today. Your ultimate destination for events, parties, fundraisers, and more. 'Tis the season to celebrate. Visit and book now at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. We got the Coupe. We got a sports update.
As first reported by EST's Jay Milne, the Edmonton Elks have named Chris Morris as their president and CEO. Morris is a 3-time Grey Cup champion as a player and most recently coached the Golden Bears football team. The Toronto Maple Leafs have traded Timothy Liljegren to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Matt Benning, a 2025 third-rounder, and a 2026 sixth-round pick. Connor McDavid will be out 2 to 3 weeks with an ankle injury, with the Oilers hitting the ice without their captain tomorrow. And right now, the Islanders and Blue Jackets are tied at zeros midway through the first. Later, it's the Jets facing the Red Wings, the hockey club hosting the Flames in Utah, with the Devils playing the Canucks. And in basketball, Scotty Barnes will miss 11 games after fracturing his face and is expected to return in mid-November. His Raptors are in action against the Hornets, down by 2 early in the game, and 4 other matchups are live right now, including the Celtics battling the Pacers in a tight battle in the first, while the Wizards lead the Hawks by 7. It's the Yankees trying to fight their way back in the World Series, down 3-1 to the LA Dodgers. This sports update has been brought to you by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. Get treated like a pro with their highly skilled crew. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance your performance, Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy uses the same locker room approach, trusted by the best in the game. Find them online at advantagesportmed.ca. The Reid Wilkins Show returns just after these messages. I'm Zachary Kubish, and that was your Sports Update.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Flyaway to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Flyaway keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for two, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Okay, Connor McDavid out 2 to 3 weeks. Oilers in Nashville to play the Predators tomorrow. Noah Philp expected to make his NHL debut. Pickard expected to be the Oilers goaltender. And the Edmonton Elks have named Chris Morris as their president and CEO, something we were discussing on the show even before the Elks formally made the announcement around 4:15. News conference at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Chris Morris leaving the U of A Golden Bears to as the head coach to become the president and CEO of your Edmonton Elks. We are in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown personal injury law firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Visit them at jameshbrown.com. Book your private consultation today. Yeah, fun day. Thanks for everybody who's checking in. We are well over 100 thumbs up on YouTube. Keep hammering it. Let's see if we can even get to 125. Now that we're up there, keep hitting that thumbs up. But thanks to getting us to 100 yet again, and we'll get some food from Dustin Nielsen whenever he's back from his illness. And I still have to bring in the cookies that Mom made for everybody here.
Yes. Eagerly
I
awaiting
keep
those.
forgetting. I'm a very negligent man. That is my goof up. No cookies.
Yeah. That's a goof. That was your goof up all week.
Yeah, I have a perpetual goof up. All right. So we've been doing creepy, scary, Halloween-themed off-topic topics and top threes when we can. I had fun yesterday with the top 3 X-Files episodes.
That was great.
Presented by Food Sausage, the best sausages you will ever eat. Locally made and packed full of flavor. Order online or visit them in store, 6736 99th Street. Take advantage of their EST discount. That's right, 10% off your order by entering the online code EST or just mention Edmonton Sports Talk in store. Free delivery in Edmonton on orders over $100. As Food Sausage says, you can't beat our meat. We don't have to do one every day.
Let's see.
I'm spent from the vampire one yesterday.
Simpsons characters.
Oh, I don't know if I can do any voices.
Hey, man. You got any sausages?
Is that Barney?
I'm trying my
That was a
best.
pretty good Barney. I was trying to think who I could do. My cat's breath smells like cat food. It's Ralph Wiggum.
Hey, Reid, I'm from EST.
The doctor said I wouldn't get so many nosebleeds if I stopped putting my finger up there. Did you get 10% off, Marty? I believe those are both Ralph Wiggum lines at some point.
I choose you.
Yes. What was the name of the character in Rounders? Just Spency 5 Cincy. Who was the guy in Rounders? I didn't look it up. What was Malkovich's character's name? Russian Nick? Russian Rob?
Teddy KGB.
Teddy KGB. That's what it is. Thank you very much. All right. So here are my top 3 horror movie titles or horror movie titles about Edmonton sports talk. Now, I'm going to give sort of my vision for these because just the title itself, people might be like, okay, what's so scary about that? So I'm going to sort of give how I picture the general plot for the movie and of course the poster, because the horror movie poster can really call you in. So I think, as most people know, our CEO, Dustin Nielsen, is not adventurous when it comes to eating. Fair to say? He does not have a diversified palate.
No.
He enjoys what he enjoys and not much else, to the point that he doesn't even like trying other things, right?
That's correct.
So I thought a horror movie title would be Dinner with Dustin. So, but then the poster is quite a black poster, and Dustin is standing there, and there's just enough light on him that you can kind of see him, and he has a weird smile on his face, and he's reaching forward and just pulling off the cover on it, like, the dome metal covers.
Yeah.
They go over edition. He's just starting to lift it, and he's sort of got a sinister smile on his face.
Wow.
So it's like the premise would be, like, we all get invited over to dinner with Dustin. We're like, Dustin, like, you're just going to make us chicken fingers. And he's like, no, I'm really trying something different. And then, we get to the house, and it's a little creepy, and someone's like, I'm just going to step outside for a second. It's like, oh, it's locked. And Dustin's like, serving dinner, everybody. And then something happens from there.
So the plot could
Dinner
be
with Dustin.
Of Dinner with Dustin is he invites over 8 guests, but 5 of them are actually the appetizer.
Yes.
The entree, the dessert.
There could be a cannibalistic element.
And he kills them off one at a time throughout the movie and then serves them to the other guests.
Yeah. Or previous employees that maybe, we found out what happened to them. Something like that. All right.
This is and the poster just ties it together.
It's just not a lot on the poster, mostly black. Dustin in sort of a dim light. Yeah, or he's got like a Mater D thing on almost, and he's just lifting the cover off
with
some
white
sort of
gloves?
a plate. Yes, of course, with white gloves.
But there's blood coming out of the cuff.
Yeah,
the
there
sleeve.
could be a little somewhere
on
little
top of that
little
shiny
glimmer of blood.
Yes.
Yeah, just to make you titillated about it.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. I would like to watch that movie.
My second one involves you.
Uh-oh.
Unglued. The glue guy becomes unglued. I think that speaks for itself. Something tilts you into a maniacal craze. And again, the poster could almost be, maybe you're looking back over your shoulder and you're smiling, but then as we look closer at the smile, it's like that's a really sinister smile, and maybe your hand, you can just see you're holding something, and it's like, is that a hatchet? What is the glue? Or maybe like you would use the glue, you'd use actual glue somehow on the people in the horror movie.
Well, yeah, Scalding Gort says glue guy. When your lips are glued, nobody can hear you scream.
Yeah, that's a good, that would be, oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would glue you. And I'd have a collection of people glued to the...
Yeah, you'd glue them to the wall.
Some different
That'd
way.
be your own glue crew. Like, you want to join the glue crew?
Yeah. Hashtag glue crew.
And then I'm going to forego the third one I have and allow the big uke to put this one on the list. Instead of the Awakening, the Awanaking.
Well, now...
That's better than the idea I had. But there's also a lot of things you could do in the title with nasty, join the nasties, come to the nasty. What was the thing in the summer where I got unveiled? The nasty bash.
Nasty bash.
Yeah. But I like the Awanaking.
Well, what was the plot of The Awakening? in London.
I don't know which one The Awakening was. Which one was The Awakening? I think he's just saying that The Awakening could be a title for something, and it would be The Awanaking.
So it's about sightings of children ghosts. So it could be sightings of Matthew
Awanak's ancestors
yes.
all come to life and make us follow all the rules to the letter.
Spency 5 cents, he says, I could have glue guns for weapons.
Oh, yes, the unglued. Yeah.
My hands turn into glue guns.
Yeah, like you get some sort of...
and I burn you.
Yeah, like you'd have to have some motivating thing that made you go over the edge, and then you come back as a physical manifestation of glue itself.
Be like that movie.
And then we all have to band together to fight you. So you still do bring people together.
And it turns out it's not... my nemesis, my kryptonite, is like a glue stick.
Yeah.
Not hot glue.
Right.
I can't take it. It makes me implode.
So those are my top three with a contribution from the Big U, because I liked his better than my third one. Horror movie titles about Edmonton sports talk. Dinner with Dustin. I might write Dinner with Dustin.
I would love to do that, and I'd love to see it as a screenplay.
Dustin could play himself. Who would play Dustin?
Who would play Dustin?
Gerard Depardieu? I just like saying that name.
Well, in movies, you don't have to have accurate height depiction.
No, it doesn't have to be accurate at all.
So I think Kevin James.
Kevin James is Dustin Nielsen.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, Vince Vaughn is Dustin Nielsen? That'd be all right, too. Wonder if Dustin's listening right now. No, he'd be texting his own suggestions. All right, so that is for fun. We'll see what we do on Halloween tomorrow. My top three horror movie titles and some ideas on how they would work about Edmonton sports talk.
This comes in on the EST chat. This is from Merman again. He says, yes, sir. Great to see a U of A alumni as a top dog for the Double E. As my cousin is on the Wall of Fame, more to follow. Says, thank you, and we'll continue to share thoughts going forward. Keep up the great programming from 6 to 6. Apologies for the novel. It's not a novel.
No, that's fine. That's cool. That's a really good text, actually.
We're here for all of those kind of texts.
Yeah, the texts that get to be several paragraphs and get repetitive, those ones are less likely to get read, shall we say.
Corey B said, what was my guy from The Simpsons?
You were Barney.
Barney. He said, that sounds like someone from Fat Albert.
I applaud you for attempting that voice. I went pretty safe with Ralph Wiggum. Ralph Wiggum has a lot of great lines, though. But that's the one I remember. Or what's the other one? I bent my Wookiee. But yeah, doctor said I wouldn't get so many nosebleeds if I just kept my finger out of there. Good advice for everybody.
Great advice.
All right. We're back for a final segment of fun. We got the Coupe with a sports update. It's the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne.
As first reported by EST's very own Jay Milne, the Edmonton Elks have named Chris Morris as their next president and CEO. Morris won the Grey Cup 3 times as a player and most recently coached the Golden Bears football team. Captain Connor McDavid has sustained an ankle injury and will miss 2 to 3 weeks. McDavid twisted his ankle Monday night against the Blue Jackets after being tripped and falling into the boards. The Toronto Maple Leafs have traded Timothy Liljegren to the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Matt Benning, a 2025 third-rounder, and a 2026 sixth-round pick. Scoreless near the end of the first, it's the Blue Jackets and Islanders, with the Jets facing off against the Red Wings in just a moment. Later, we do see the Canucks playing the Devils, the Lightning battling the Avs as well. And 6 games are underway in the NBA, with the Raptors down by 9 points against the Hornets. Other games see the Celtics down by 5 against the Pacers, and the Pistons down by 4 in their game against the 76ers. The World Series could end tonight with the Dodgers up 3-1 over the Yankees, with the Yankees finding their first win in the matchup last night. The final segment of the Reid Wilkins Show is just after the break. I'm Zachary Kubish, keeping you up to date.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
A&W has a deal for you. What's better than one A&W Mama Burger made with a perfectly seasoned grass-fed beef patty topped with pickles, a slice of onion, ketchup, mustard, and teen sauce served on a toasted sesame seed bun? 2 Mama Burgers for only $9.99. You can enjoy 2 of these delicious, mouth-watering Mama Burgers for only $9.99 at participating A&W restaurants in Edmonton, St. Albert, Sherwood Park, and Devon. What a deal! And to make it even more convenient for you, most A&W drive-thrus are open 24 hours.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the Association, Formula One, soccer, golf, oh sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
Oh, my goodness. What a day. What a day indeed. We broke it for you here. The Elks later announced it. Chris Morris, the new president and CEO of the Double E. There'll be a news conference tomorrow at 2 in the Elks dressing room. And, of course, the Oilers announced this morning 2 to 3 weeks for Connor McDavid with an ankle injury. So at least 6 games. And that starts, well, I guess they really didn't have him for most of the game in Columbus, too. What was it, a 37-second shift? But tomorrow against the Predators. So tomorrow we'll have this show from 3 to 5. We'll wrap it up an hour early, 5 to 6, Tom and Hernan with the GCL Deal pregame show, and then they'll be on after the game for a postgame show. Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Arvidsson at the skate today. Nugent-Hopkins with Jeff Skinner and Hyman, Henrique, Janmark, and Brown were together. Noah Philp expected to make his NHL debut tomorrow with Ryan and Perry. Eck with Bush, Nurse with Dermott back in the lineup, and Kulak with Emberson, Pickard in goal. So it looks like, based on today anyway, Caggiula and Stetcher will be the scratches.
Scalding Gord sent in a couple more movie ideas for EST personalities. One for YouTube Trev called Alone. The story of a young man going mad as he lives alone for the first time.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's a good one.
And then he wrote one in for our dear The Coob.
The Coob.
Octa Games. A frustrated Zach wanting more MMA talk begins kidnapping EST personalities and forcing them to battle. I like that.
That's funny. That is
I like
good.
that. That is a good one because
Is that what the premise of Squid Game? I never watched Squid Game.
I think
Or
yeah,
did
somebody
people sign up willingly for Squid Game?
I think it was kind of like there's like this mob and underground kind of sort of vibe, and they get attracted into here because these people need money, so they know that they can enter this game, so they join it willingly. And yeah, a lot of squids or whatever is in there. Octopi? I don't know.
There aren't actually squids in Squid Game, are there?
I don't think so. I've only seen like reels.
Wait,
of
so
it.
have you seen it or not, Coop?
I've seen a few episodes.
Okay.
There are no squids. I can confirm. I'm sorry. I know. I know. Spoiler alerts. There's no squids in Squid Game.
What a letdown!
Right? That's what I watch for.
Yeah. Imagine being some marine biologist. Oh, finally, a show. Oh, squid. There's no squid. But
finally, somebody cares about what I care about.
Should do my top 3 misleading titles of shows.
Yeah.
Squid Game. I don't know. I can't think of any.
That's an interesting one.
That would be a good one, though. Top 3. Well, what's the chef one? The Bear. He's a chef.
I've never seen that. I've only heard of it.
But I believe he is. It's about a chef, and it's called The Bear. I don't know why it's called The Bear. I haven't seen it. Somebody write in the nasty chat why The Bear is called The Bear, the movie about or the TV show about a chef, which is supposedly quite popular.
Hunger Games? Is that kind of
well, no, because
ironic?
there was a dearth of resources in some of the districts, so they were kind of hungry.
I guess
they needed stuff. Tyler and Terwilliger, holy shiza. Who is that handsome devil on the sports update? Beauty alert. That's you. Zacho.
I'm not just a nice voice.
Okay, we'll just do it. This is an impromptu top three. Top three misleading names of television shows. So we have to say Squid Game.
Yes.
Unless there's some squid element we don't know about. Though I think The Bear would be up there because I'm pretty sure it's about a chef.
I believe you're right.
And then what else would there be? It's hard to think of one when you have to think of one. Usually this would something that would come to you while you're what?
We're getting more movie names about EST staff
Okay, well, we can keep going with those two. We're winding down the show.
This one's called, the restaurant is called The Bear.
Oh, the restaurant is called The Bear.
That comes in from Ken. This comes in from Pinto Creek. Free Ball. The story of...
What? It sounds bad.
The story of Tom Gazzola's short shorts at the Battle of to achieve freedom.
Instead of free guy, free ball.
Free ball.
Oh,
Pinto
that's
Creek,
pretty good.
You win.
I don't know if that's a horror movie. I think that'd be a feel-good story of redemption.
Rob from the Grove, who I believe was in earlier. We just had so much going on, Rob. I didn't pop out and say hi, but we were breaking news, you know. Rob from the Grove, Parks and Recreation.
Well,
misleading.
No, because they
not
were
even
in
at
the
all.
Parks and Rec department.
That's the whole basis. It's like The Office, but you're in the Parks and Rec. It's
Jen
the same
Cool
thing.
says Yellow Jackets. I've never seen that, but
So that's about the cheerleaders who crashed and had to survive in the wilderness, right? But weren't
That's
they
right.
wearing, or was that their team name?
That's
the
their
school
team name. They
was
are
Yellow
the
Jackets?
Yellow Jackets. So it's about the
Yeah,
Yellow
so it's
Jackets.
about the yellow. But I guess the Bear then is about the restaurant. But I guess if somebody said to you, "There's a show called Yellow Jackets," you might say, "Oh, is it is it about bees or hornets, or is it about people who wear yellow jackets?" No, it's about high school kids eating each other in the wilderness.
So first
Something
we
like
had the Squid Game with the marine biologist being upset, and then the other the bee what would you call that? The hive keeper getting upset because the Yellow Jackets aren't actually about the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, I don't.
Shame.
You lost me, Zach.
what about the Silence of the Lambs?
But she tells a story in the movie about from her childhood how the lambs were silent. I guess not all titles are going to be obvious.
Cinderella Man
Is a boxing movie. But you remember that? Speaking of Simpsons characters, Lionel Hutz when he was representing Homer for the all-you-can-eat buffet. This is the biggest instance of false advertising since my suit against the never-ending story.
Was that the one where he ate the fish, the wrong part of the fish?
It might have been. Jared says, reminds me of that Simpsons scene where Bart buys tickets to Naked Lunch and they come out after saying, I could think of two things wrong with that title. Oh, my God. I love the Nasties. They're so good.
Surveyor Brett says that the Gazzola one is actually called Free Willy.
Jump, Willie, jump. I hate this new director's cut. That's also
Ken
from the
says the Big Bang Theory has nothing to do with the theory of the universe.
But they're all eggheads. But believe that's what they like to be called. That's awful. I'm sorry, everybody. I shouldn't be allowed to have a show. They were all PhDs in astrophysics or something, weren't they? Or the study of creation and the universe.
Yeah, they're all into that. I don't know if that's how the show opens up. So,
But I think there was also a sexual element to the show, was there not? The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
wasn't it always very tension filled in that department?
Yeah, baby.
Yes, exactly. Are you getting a lot of text now?
No, I'm just. What about Debbie Does Dallas?
Jeez, that's okay.
I'm just saying
Okay.
it doesn't have anything
She
to do.
didn't play for the Cowboys.
Shark Tank, the TV show.
No sharks, no physical animal sharks in it.
No tanks.
That's true. Same with Dragon's Den.
So I guess now we've learned that a lot of shows the titles should not be taken literally.
What a shame.
Now I always thought like Breaking Bad.
Because he broke bad. He went bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a perfect one.
Could be a good movie to describe that Olympic athlete from Australia. The
Bad breaking. Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
We should call that.
And to everybody's maybe pleasure, I'm not sure, but unfortunately with the occurrences that happened today and the breaking news that Chris Morris is the new president and CEO of the Elks, I will no longer be donning my rodeo clown outfit tomorrow at the press conference.
Yes. I don't know if both of us are going to be able to attend the press conference. But when are you going to change into your outfit then?
I guess I'll just whip home and throw something on.
Well, you'll have to put it on here.
No.
I'll have something to wear, but yeah, I don't need to wear. I don't think we'll be wearing it off the top of the show anymore because, 2:00 news conference. I think you'll go, and I'll have to probably stay here and man the ship, and then you can jet back, most likely.
I'll be there.
I'd
and,
love to be there, but you can't always go to everything. So
can
when you have a
check
show-
in from you from there on
Yeah.
this show. Norman the Combine says, scary movie title, The Seeding. The Combine crew hunts down lowly souls during harvest season.
I like that.
Hire you, feed you to the possessed machines.
Oh, I like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What was the one with the? Was it Maximum Overdrive? The movie Stephen King wrote and directed about all the cars got possessed or something or taken over by some sort of force.
I don't know.
I actually didn't watch, even though I talk about horror movies a lot, I didn't watch that many, especially when I was younger. And I'm hearing is supposed to be very good and very legitimately scary is this new movie Oddity is supposed to be terrifying. Like to the point where I don't know if I would watch it if it's that creepy. You're thinking.
In deep thought.
J. Milne is in deep thought.
Creepy. I'm out. I don't need that in my life. I don't.
Why scare yourself if you can help it?
Yeah.
Have you guys watched a single Halloween movie this year?
I did watch the second version of it briefly the night before Scary Things draft. I had to turn it off. I'm like, what am I doing? And it's bad. It's not like it's bad.
Like bad scary?
Like Bill Hader in it is like a comedian. Bill, it's cheeseball, cheap. I guess it's part of the movie. But I was still like, why? I don't need to see Pennywise the clown. I'm terrified of that thing.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Thanks, Reid.
Maximum Overdrive, according to Spency 5 Sensi, was the Stephen King movie about trucks that turn into monsters. He also did a mountain of cocaine during the making of that movie. Fun fact.
Wow.
The Onaway Combine Massacre, box number R, as is the title of the movie. That's pretty good. You guys did very well today. That's pretty good stuff. So Chris Morris is the new president of the Elks. More on that tomorrow. And the Oilers will try to play better, even though they won't have McDavid, tomorrow against the Nashville Predators. And then they have another road game Sunday in Calgary, and then a home game against New Jersey on Monday. So those are their next three coming up. 780-218-9999, and of course the Nasty Chat on YouTube. Thanks for getting us over 100 thumbs up. We have reached 120, so pretty good. Thanks to all the Nasties for checking in. All right, goof ups. I forgot to bring the cookies again.
I said frozed instead of frozen.
That's pretty minor. You had a pretty good show, and you were leading the charge in breaking the Chris Morris story. So that's good.
What a day. Coob, anything?
That evens out for you. I think the MLB champions could be named today is what I said in the
just
the
say
World Series.
The World Series. You don't have to say
winners.
MLB champions.
I
Yes.
know.
World Series is good. That's minor, though. That's very minor. All right. Hey, man, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This was a very fun show. Glad to bring you the breaking news and follow along with the Chris Morris story while we were live on the air. Edmonton Sports Talk, once again proving it is your clear choice for Edmonton sports. The news conference tomorrow, we will have that covered. We'll see how that plays out during the day, but obviously that's the big one for Chris Morris. Nielsen show back at 6. I don't know if he's back, but the Nielsen show is back, so it'll be Will again. All right, that's fine. Dusty's got to be good to go. Which game is he? Must be calling Winnipeg, not Winnipeg, BC Sask.
It's got to be. Yeah,
that'll be a fun game. All right, thanks to everybody for tuning in, listening, watching, whatever you did to consume the show. On behalf of the Coob and the Glue Guy, I'm Reid. Have a good night.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.